Good evening and welcome to the Monday, December 11th Waterloo School Board meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order and I would ask you all to join me for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will have our newest board member, Crystal Matlock, read our mission statement this evening.
The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship, as evidenced by the continuing education, pursuing career path, and contributing to a community.
Thank you very much. Great job. And that is what we try to follow each and every meeting and each and every day for our students. Next up we have this evening is a public hearing for the ESC Education Service Center HVAC system upgrade. And I would like to declare the public hearing open, if I could just declaring it open. And if there's anyone here in the audience that wants to come to the podium and speak to us about the HVAC upgrade here at the Ed Center, please do so now. Okay, so can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Janelle votes loud. Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. Next thing up is we have an exciting new partnership recognition, and this is Kingsley Elementary and Marco's Pizza. And we have Kelly Martin here, and we have hopefully a representative from Marco's and Kingsley to come on up and share a little bit about this partnership.
My puppy ate my part of my...
Good evening, board. Good evening, everybody that's here tonight. We have Kingsley and Marcos. I'm going to let them talk because they did all the work. I didn't do anything on this one, so I'm going to let them guys talk. Jan?
Hi, I'm Jana Elliott, principal of Kingsley Elementary, and we are super excited to partner with Marco's Pizza. We have Christina Cook here. They have been helping us. They have ran a couple different discount programs where our students have been able to, or families have been able to order pizzas, and then they've also provided us with some monetary donations. So we are just really, really excited to partner with them.
Okay, do you want to talk at all, Marcos? Sure.
We're just really excited to be a part of the community.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, and we have Emily here to grab us some pictures. So welcome and thank you again.
You should have brought some.
Yeah,
I could go thank you.
we all like pizza anytime, just to tell you.
Especially Marco's.
Thank you again, and I'm sure our students love pizza too. That was like my favorite lunch item. That and peanut butter brownies. Those were my favorite. Okay, next up on our agenda this evening is another board celebration. And this is so exciting. This is the Waterloo Schools Foundation, and we have Hannah Luce here to come and give us a complete update on this super partnership. And it's just wonderful we can't wait to hear your data. So go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, so I have a packet in front of you all, but before we dive into that, just a friendly reminder, my name is Hannah Luce, and I'm the Executive Director at the Waterloo Schools Foundation. Good to see all of you and see some of you for the first time today. Our mission is to fund, inspire, and promote educational opportunities for all in the Waterloo schools, and we've just been excited to kind of talk about our year in numbers this year. So from last November to this November, we've gifted or pledged over $330,000 into the district, which has brought us up to a little over 2.3 million that we've gifted or pledged to the district since 2010 in our inception. So we're just really excited to kind of see what those have been, share the information with you all today. And we have kind of our blog post that our lovely Skylar Champalath drafted for us and has posted that kind of talks about our different programs that we've been able to support. You see some of the consistent ones on there that are our district initiatives, including, Teach Waterloo, Coaches Academy, Camp Invention, some of those kind of standard ones we like to support every year. But something new on there that we've had in the past, had to put a pause on due to COVID, but have officially brought back into the schools are our grants. So those have historically been our Innovative Learning and Young Scholars grants, but now we're just kind of calling them Waterloo Schools Foundation grants. We received a lot of feedback from students, staff, and parents, and as well as district leadership as to what those grants should be and what they should look like kind of post-COVID. And before, they were only offered in the fall and in the spring, but this school year we brought them back to be every other month, so that way our teachers and our students have more opportunities to apply for more funding. And just in this these two past grant cycles from September and November, we've promised over $30,000 with the help of Jeff Sommerfeld, our lovely CFO, to help organize all of that for those individuals in our school district. So there's also kind of some metric breakdowns for you as well as to what that looks like. We've been really happy to get funding into every single one of our buildings this year, but not with our grants quite yet. So there's definitely more opportunities for our buildings to apply and for students from all different buildings to apply as well, but we've been able to reach 13 buildings so far, and we've had even more apply than that. So right now, 7 out of 10 of our applicants receive funding, so we're really proud of that number, and we've upped our giving with our student and teacher grants by 40% this year. So we're just really excited to get more money into our schools and just be able to support you in all aspects of the work that you're doing. So that's kind of a general overview of what we've been able to accomplish this year. Does anyone have any specific questions? It's kind of just very, very brief.
Any questions, board members? I just want to personally thank you for, from the district and from myself, that this is just such an awesome partnership, and you guys just support so many areas that we just don't have the extra little bit of funding that we need, and it just aids us to get innovative things done and just not the regular routine things. So I appreciate your hard work, and Giving Tuesday was awesome.
Yes.
And Skylar, awesome. I saw all the results of that, and just a wonderful partnership, and it has been for years, and we just look forward to it continuing and just continuing to see what we can do as a jointed effort. So, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm gonna add something
Oh,
real quick too.
yeah.
Hannah, thanks
Exactly.
all that you and Skylar do, and the board.
Yes.
Stu and I have a chance to meet with you guys monthly, and I'm always just amazed that a group of, individuals who have connections to the district, obviously, but they give up their time to really support our students. So, I mean, this is part of my job. This is part of Sue's job, I guess you could, part-time job to go and I just go to those meetings, I'm like, you guys are doing this all for us? This feels so good. And they go through all the, just so many cool things that you guys do for us. We really appreciate it. For those of you who are not able to attend, it's just a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, and so we've just been really thankful to impact our students and our staff, and thanks to all of your leadership and everything you do for our Waterloo schools. And there's obviously specific examples of what those look like in those sheets in front of you, but we have a lot of resources on our website kind of sharing those specific stories of student impacts and teacher impacts as well. So, and we just thank Jared for, opening up those opportunities to partner with the Be Bold Awards and other staff appreciation. So it's been really great to visit all of our buildings this year and continuing those partnerships. So thank you.
And the awards you give is wonderful to all the teachers and, special awards. And then at the start of the school year,
Yes.
they gave the award this year. And then also, I just wanted to reminisce, I was at the very first breakfast you had. And it was so cool those students were so proud of their work, just so proud of their work. And that's the coolest thing to see. So support the breakfast. It's usually in April.
Yes, April
So-
25th this year.
25th,
So if you want to
awesome.
make a note, way far in advance. So we're really interested to see who our keynote speaker is this year. So we haven't officially announced that yet, but keep a lookout in the next few months for those items. And yeah, and the opening day, Expo received the award for the dance-off competition. So they had a catered meal from the foundation. We surprised them with a few extra items. So it's been really awesome to see.
So Hannah, how did it go doing I know you went around to do the teacher license check.
Oh, yes, yeah.
How many buildings did you have to go to? Or did you get to go to? Sorry.
So we had, for those of you who may not be aware of that partnership, the Waterloo Schools Foundation pays for all of the standard teaching licenses for teachers that have agreed to return back to the Waterloo schools and have completed their mentor programming. And this year we had 42 teachers, and we were only able to visit 3 schools, but the mentor coaches were able to visit, I don't know off the top of my head if you know Skylar, but I think almost all of our buildings were impacted by those licenses. So it was really great to see the students be excited for their teachers, but also all the appreciation for building staff and admin for their teachers who have completed that mentor program and have really committed their talent to public education.
Yeah, I know you're excited to do that. And I just love seeing Hannah Luce at everything. Like, you just immerse yourself into the community, into the district, and we really appreciate it. And she's just so cool. Like, I wasn't that cool when I was that young. So it's just awesome to see you, Hannah. Thank you.
Stacy.
Are you still that cool to case Stacy? Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Any other questions or comments for Hannah?
Just thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And now we are done celebrating. It is now time to hear from you guys tonight. And the next item on our agenda is the information from individuals and delegations. And it's really awesome. I'm sure you're all here because this is my last board meeting. That's why you're all here. I'm sure of it. But I did. But obviously, this is the opportunity where those who wish to address the school board can do so at this time. We ask you, especially with this crowd, to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Mrs. Arndorfer to my left will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red card when your time has expired. And at that time, I will ask you to conclude your remarks. We would like everyone to have an opportunity to speak. Please keep your comments respectful and constructive. We're all here with the goal of trying to help our students. And also, please avoid criticizing the job performance of any specific employee of the district. Personnel matters are confidential and must be handled through proper channels and not in this public forum. Finally, we provide this as an opportunity for public comments, but it is generally not a back-and-forth discussion between the board and yourself, especially for items that are not appearing on our agenda. At times, we will try to help if we can with information before or after the meeting, or if we can get your name and we will have further contact, but we have to proceed with our regular board meeting agenda items. With that said, I invite anyone who wishes to address the board to please come forward to the microphone. There is a button on there, a green light needs to be on when you're speaking, and start by stating your name and your home address, and then your 3 minutes will begin.
My name's Scott Wainans. I live at 104 Clyde Circle in Waterloo, and what I'm down here for tonight is, number one, thank you, Superintendent and Board, for allowing us to do this. I am absolutely ecstatic about the new school and the building the school out around Central High. I think it's something that should have been done 35, 40 years ago. The Cedar River has divided this community for far too long. It's a great opportunity for our students to be in a new facility. We've got the Career Center right adjacent to the building. We've got the football stadium there. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I want to encourage you, and whatever I can do to help support it, I will. And I'm a hometown guy. I mean, I've never been anywhere, and lived here my whole life, West High grad. 3 daughters went through West High, 2 grandsons have graduated from West High. I have 2 grandchildren that are now at Orange, and will be going to the new school that we're going to build in Waterloo. So I think it's a real chance to bring our athletic events. I've got grandsons that played sports, wrestled, and baseball, and my grandson Cooper said, you know, when I wrestled the kid from East High, I had one goal in mind to beat him. But then on the weekend, we were in the same wrestling club and we're buddies. And that's what it is. These kids all know each other. And we're really a pretty small town. I think it is exciting to see what's going on from downtown Waterloo to what's going on in the school system. And the Career Center is a good example of when you think outside the box, you can make things happen. So I'm in 100% support of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Jeff Essman, 338 Crestridge Drive, Waterloo, Iowa. I too am a hometown boy, and history repeats itself. Everybody said 40 years ago we needed a big high school, Central. Look what happened to it. It's an elementary school or a medium school now. If you look at the kids, you got kids that live in Raymond, Iowa. You got kids that live in Washburn. This is going to make their drives or their transport time longer. And as it is now, I got a granddaughter in Washburn that gets on the bus at 7 in the morning to go to school. We're going to put them on the bus at 6 to get them there? I mean, one central school would be all right if it was central. We don't need a school on the west side of Waterloo by Cedar Falls when we got two good high schools in the middle. And when you get to the kids, sports. Sports is good, yeah, I agree. All the kids know each other. There's a rivalry. But when you got kids at East and kids at West, you got two, I'll use football as an example. You got so many spots they can play. You know, you're an 11-man team. Okay, all of a sudden, you got double the people going for that. And the kids that might not be quite 110% superstars are left sitting on the bench. And after that, no participation, what do? They stop playing. They stop going. You know, you rather have, you want everybody to have a chance. You got teams, here you got two teams you can put together, and you go and take and join them in one, half them kids ain't going to get to play. They ain't going to get a chance. You know, they're going to be sitting on the benches. And that's in swimming, wrestling, everything. It just ain't a football thing. We don't need one school. We got two good high schools in this town right now. Build one, put all the kids in one school with bigger classrooms, less teachers. Yeah, it might sound good, but if we got that much money in the budget to spend without having a bond referendum, why don't we take that money and maybe increase some teacher salaries, maybe buy some stuff for the schools that they can do their jobs and teach better. It's just because we got the land. I mean, if we got that much money, maybe we should have left the driver's ed course that was out there and kept offering driver's ed to the students. And when you get to the area, you're now going to put an elementary school, a high school, a junior high school as I knew it, and the tech center, all in one area. The traffic's going to be horrific. Not everybody goes on buses. It's going to be horrific. We don't need it. It's good the way it is.
Thank you very much. Your name is Jeff Essman, correct?
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, Todd Oberdahl, 124 Amity Drive, Waterloo. I'm here to speak also about the proposed financing of the proposed high school. I have an email here in front of me from the Waterloo Schools High School project that says that the Waterloo Community School District will sell bonds to finance this project. This is similar to receiving a mortgage to purchase a house. To repay the bonds, WCSD will use the funds we received through SAVE. And through other resources, I found out that SAVE provides the school district with $13 million, I believe is the figure I saw. And so we're going to use that $13 million to pay for the school. And so therefore, we're going to indebt the taxpayers of the Waterloo Community School District to the tune of $165 million without putting it in front of them, because we're going to say, this body is going to say that we aren't raising the property taxes, so we don't have to ask for voter approval. Well, my question to that is, what are we doing with that $13 million a year we're getting from SAVE? I assume we're not putting it into some lockbox somewhere to build a building. I'm assuming it's getting spent, and I am going to offer good faith and say it's being spent on important things. So once we take that $13 million a year and put it towards a school, we will no longer have that $13 million a year going to the things that the $13 million is going for. So are we going to cut that $13 million of spending that we're using from SAVE right now and just do away with what we're spending? Or are we going to look to continue that spending through other means? How are we going to pay for that extra $13 million a year? It looks like we're going to have to raise taxes. I don't see this board as having the authority to indebt the citizens of this school district by $165 million without their approval. If we take a look at the pay chart for the Waterloo Community School District, I think you'll see that 90+%, if not 100%, of the full-time people are compensated at a rate that's higher than the median income of a family in the city of Waterloo. So the Waterloo Community School District is going to tell people that make less money than they do that they have to pay money to do something that they say they need to do, that y'all say we need to do. They say we need this school without asking the people that are going to pay for it. $165 million is approximately $2,750, $2,800 per resident of Waterloo. If we're getting a rate of 5% return or 5% interest on these bonds, that's $8 million in interest a year. $13 million, $5 million after 30 years, we'll still have $15 million to pay on this once it comes due. I would like this board to think very long and hard about their authority to issue bonds for a building without voter approval, and consult with your legal staff on that very, very closely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is DeCarlos Anderson, proud Waterloo citizen, and so I just want to take a moment to, as I've heard of people before me, push back on the idea of this one school concept for so many reasons, because of the fact that I myself just dedicate my life to community and education, and I've actually been a part of something like this before. And the thing is that the effects of this are things that there's no data that you have right now that's going to prove how insurmountable this is going to damage our community and the students that we serve. The social and emotional effects of a decision like this is going to cause, increase in dropout rates, criminal, conviction rates will go up, and a number of other things. And like the gentleman said before about athletics, right? I'm involved in that world as well. Cream rises to the top. So what about the kids who are not the cream, right? I work in schools where I know students who have to walk to school and they are currently tardy, right? So every single day, these students are tardy. Not that I'm okay with that, and not that anyone that's a part of education should be okay with that. But they still have hope because they can walk to school, right? These same students won't be the students that will be standing on bus stops, because that's just not the demographic and the upbringing and the makeup of the students that we serve. Overall, there is no district that has the size of the number of students that we have that has one high school. So again, when you look at this data, there's only thing I see is us losing students. Okay. Not only that, community members, because as the gentleman said, we put out these different videos, and this here talks about a vote. I'm like, why wasn't the community involved first, right? And so I think it's really deceiving, because of the fact that we're here voting for exploration, that's what we say. However, this exploration is going to cost $10+ million, right, in a lump sum to an architecture firm to tell us that, hey, move forward. So me personally, I'm like, how do you invest that much money? Community's against it. You already invested. So we move forward, or you move forward without the buy-in of the community, and then once this happens, what happens when we get this all together and it doesn't work? As folks are telling you so many reasons as to why. We're stuck. Okay? And so I think that we need to be very, very, very mindful of the decisions that we make, because we want to try to keep up with the Joneses, or we think that because it's new and shiny is going to help the problems, right? What are we doing to address the current issues that we have, right? K through 5, K through 8 are having an abundance of issues. A new school is not going to fix that, right? You tell us that our buildings that we have are old and not good enough for the 4 grade levels that's in them, but yet they'll be good enough for half or 2 grade levels.
Could you please conclude your remarks? Your 3
So-
minutes is up.
So with that being said, what I want to say is that at the end of the day, new does not mean better. Okay, if we're not going to address the issues that we currently have, you know, it's like putting a Band-Aid on the gunshot wound.
Okay, your time is up, so
Okay.
sorry.
So
Thank you, though, for coming and addressing us. Thank you very much.
My name is Terry Pearson Stevens. I'm here to speak against plans to build a new school that incorporates students from East High to the West Side. For the last 50 decades, everything this school district has been done against the east side of Waterloo for the benefit of the west side of Waterloo. And it needs to stop right here. Now, any building should take place on the campus of East High School. There's land there. What's the problem with building whatever you want to build over there at East High School? You can tell by the looks of it that East High is an older school. East High is older than West High. But we don't get any play. All we get is the problems that are dumped into East High School all of the time. We don't have the best teachers. I'm not saying there aren't any good teachers. We don't have the best coaches. I'm not saying there aren't any good coaches. The drama department is laughable, even though they turn out excellent work. My issue is that we don't receive equitable care, nor do we receive expansion leverage. East Waterloo citizens pay taxes just like those on the west side. Nonetheless, the 2 schools are not comparable at all. Points of interest to be considered: students from East Side have been the victims of a failed discrimination program since it was initiated. Hasn't gotten better, it's gotten worse. We pay taxes too. Roosevelt, Logan, parts of Grant, Lincoln were demolished and poorly rebuilt, purposefully. See, there's this thing with Waterloo that wants people to feel inferior, to feel like you can't do your best when you have people who are really dumber than some of these people who are now holding positions of power in this city. Carver, which replaced Logan, was built next to an iron scrap yard. And that's very interesting to me, because that scrap yard, you know what scrap yards do, you know the pollution that comes with. But Mexicans and blacks have the highest respiratory problems in Black Hawk County. And that's the highest percentage of students at Carver. What's really going on here? There's a pool of water that runs over every track season. Big pool with all sorts of insects, the germs they carry, and the dirt. Why was it located there? Logan School, when they tore it down, we did our best to keep it there. I was asking for information from Logan so that we could build the memorabilia that goes with it. Nobody could find it. We don't have any. We don't know where it is.
Your
Pardon?
3 minutes is up. I apologize, but we allow everyone 3 minutes, and you have maximized that time.
Black, brown neighborhoods continue to be dismantled, ghettoized, and ignored. Waterloo Community School District needs to show a good faith effort that defies the continuing actions of discrimination, inferior education, and passive indifference. Build the new school on the East High School campus.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. David Deeds, 922 Mulberry Street. Just a couple of quick comments. As you've heard here already this evening, there's a certain amount of distrust in our community, and the process that you're following does not engender additional trust to you. The decision that you are making is one of a once-in-a-century type decision. If we think how old East High School is, it's a century plus old, and therefore the decision you make over the next couple of months will impact 5+ generations into the future. The process, while many of us have heard bits and pieces of this rumored for 10 to 15+ years at this point, I do think that the voters of Waterloo did tell you what their thoughts were about the process when your 2015 or 2016 bond referendum failed on a vote of 56% against, 44% for, on a vote that required 60% in favor. I urge you, if you want to do what's best for this community, is to put this, even if you're not required to put this to a vote. You're making a decision for 5 to 6 generations. And while a single school may be the right decision, on the eastern border of the Cedar Falls High School District, closer to the Cedar Falls High School than to most of the Waterloo School District, is likely not the right location. You may say, well, that's because our career center is there. Well, don't compound past mistakes. And I like the career center. It's a great thing. But don't compound past mistakes in location with mistakes in future decisions.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else want to approach the board? We do have a letter that, oh, okay, go ahead.
Shantavia Parker, 627 Beach Street, Waterloo, Iowa. I just wanted to stand up here to say that I'm actually for one school. I think growing up 15 years ago, I witnessed the disparities between me attending West High and my sister attending East High. My mom came down here 15 years ago and fought for how the systems were inequitable and how my sister had to drive and transport herself to West High to get some aspects of education. And I feel like so oftentimes our kids on the east side of Waterloo go without. And I think having one high school will help break that down as far as the disparity. And I think when we think about this move or this decision, I don't think that the board or the district leadership team would make this move without knowing what's best for our kids. I think as adults, we get in the way of what needs to happen for our students. I am sick of certain kids not getting the same equal opportunity as other kids. It does not make sense to me that the Waterloo Career Center does not give access to all people. And yes, we can say that the location of where the new school is an issue, but at the end of the day, the school needs to go somewhere, and we cannot continue to create this division between East Side and West Side. A lot of what was said in the beginning was that the Cedar River split our kids up, and that is exactly what I feel. I feel like we've created a lot of division between our community, and in order for us to be one community, to be Waterloo, to be bold, to be all of those things, we need to stand for this decision. And at the end of the day, it's up to us. We got to get out of the way for our kids to be successful, and it starts now.
Thank you. All right, I see someone else coming, and then Ms. Arndorfer has a letter that was mailed to the board that she will also be reading, and if anyone else wants to speak after the letter, you're welcome to do so. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jody Baller, and I am the WEA, Waterloo Education Association President, and I wrote a letter to the school board. So the Waterloo Education Association leadership at this time would like to express our support for the Waterloo Community Schools exploration into building a unified high school. We recognize and appreciate the district's commitment to exploring innovative solutions that may enhance the environment for both students and teachers. While we acknowledge the potential advantages of a unified high school, we also know there's still a lot of unanswered questions. It will be important to address these concerns and ensure that input is actively sought throughout the process. We believe that open communication and collaboration with stakeholders, including teachers, will contribute to more comprehensive understanding of potential benefits and challenges associated with this proposal. Once this exploration phase is completed and there is a clear vision of what the transition process and structure of a unified high school will look like, WEA will continue or will be able to make a clearly informed decision in the best interest of our students and teachers. We look forward to actively participating in the ongoing discussions surrounding this project. Together, we can ensure that any decision made is well-informed, inclusive, and aligns with the best interests of our students and educators. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll have Ms. Arndorfer read a letter, and then we'll continue on with audience participation.
Okay, this letter was mailed earlier today from a gentleman. My name is Dustin Lease, and I have lived in Waterloo for almost the entirety of my 40-year life. I attended Waterloo Public Schools for elementary, junior high, and high school, as well as Hawkeye Community College, UNI, and the University of Iowa for undergrad and graduate study. I am a strong supporter of public education and appreciate the ambition that has been shown by the new superintendent. I believe that the superintendent and the board are both working hard to do what they believe is best for our kids, but good intentions do not always yield good results. There seems to be a movement currently that is pushing for the privatization of education that I couldn't disagree with more, and I want to remain a strong supporter of the Waterloo Public School system. That being said, I have some serious concerns and criticisms to share regarding the creation of one high school for Waterloo and the way that decision was made, shared, without input or feedback from the community. I have 3 young children, ages 8, 6, and 3, with the older 2 currently attending Waterloo Public Schools for elementary education. All 3 of them would attend this newly created one high school for Waterloo, given the current timelines laid out. This is the biggest decision regarding the Waterloo schools that I believe has happened in my lifetime. We have routinely received requests for input and feedback in the form of surveys regarding things happening in the schools. I respond to these surveys because I think it's important to provide perspective as parents about our children's education, not to interfere, not to make decisions that are best left to trained educators, but to provide additional context so educators and administrators can make the best decisions possible. However, this decision came as a surprise and a shock. I am discouraged that such a major decision appears to have been made without feedback from parents, and even more discouraged with the lack of transparency about why this decision was made. I know now the WCSD has said they are willing to listen to input and that this is purely exploratory, but that is certainly not how it was initially presented. Given that the board is set to vote on whether or not to proceed with hiring an architectural firm, it is clear that there is no true intention to consult with the community before moving forward with this project. I understand that the WCSD has said that, thank you, has said they have been facing reduced attendance and that other communities have started to build expensive new facilities. But the facilities do not teach the students, and I have not heard any concrete explanation about how this plan intends to bring in additional students outside of providing expensive new facilities. Student retention is important, but it should not necessarily be the paramount goal. Using our resources to provide for, fund, and support teachers, in my opinion, will go miles further in keeping students engaged in Waterloo than new buildings ever could. I have heard nothing regarding...
Time is up,
Okay.
sorry.
So, board, this is a rather lengthy 2-sided letter, and you do have a copy of it in your email.
Thank you very much.
I also want to just say real quickly to anybody that has provided comments, you are welcome to email any comments to myself, and I can pass those on to the board as well.
Thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Good evening, LaTanya Graves. And I just want to say that so many times we make decisions without community input, without parent input, without organization input, and you say it's in the best interest of the children. There is a forever widening gap. There are so many kids that are reading below grade level. So when we talk about building one school, what are we talking about when we continue to see this widening gap? It's not decreasing, it's increasing. And so, nothing against teachers, nothing against parents, nothing against community members that come up here and voice their concerns, but we have to start working together to ensure we break down that prison to pipeline, that pipeline to prison, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's real. It's not fabricated. It is real. And my heart goes out to these kids. I hear it all the time from parents. I hear it all the time from counselors that our kids are falling further behind. So what are we going to do to help them reach grade level? What plans are in place for that? My concern is the widening gap. Will we look at this one high school 20 years from now and say we made a mistake? Will we look at this one high school 20 years from now and say we made a mistake? Because we know growing up, boundaries were put in place to divide us. I'm a product of that divide. I came out all right though. But I'm just saying those boundaries were put in place to divide us. When are we going to do something that will bring us together as a community, as one Cedar Valley? I'm just asking a question.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to address the board? Now is your time. Okay. Seeing none, we thank you all for coming out tonight and for your input. We've taken notes. All the board members have taken notes. And like Ms. Orndorfer said, if you want to send us emails, that's always an option too. And we appreciate hearing many, many different perspectives. And that makes us our base broader, and it makes our knowledge base broader as to what people are thinking. So thank you all for coming. We will now move on to our consent agenda this evening, and that consists of 4 items tonight. Item 1 is the approval of minutes. Item 2 is the personal appointments and adjustments. Item 3 are the bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings. And item 4 is the Education Service Center HVAC systems upgrade air handling unit pre-purchase that we had the hearing for earlier. Are any of these items board members would like to have removed?
Item 4, please.
Anything else? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda being items 1, 2, and 3?
So moved. Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Then we go to item 4, which is the Education Service Center HVAC system upgrade, air handling, and unit pre-purchase. And I believe you pulled that, Lau. Can we get the motion on the table?
I move the Board of Education approve the train proposal and purchase 2 air handling units at a total cost of $51,375 as presented.
So move.
Second.
And discussion, please.
Yeah, I thought I'd just bring this to your attention. The units here were original, so they're 60 years old, which is a little past the normal time. But more than that, I wanted to call attention to efficiency. Ever since we started building our new buildings, and by the way, the save money, the $13 million a year, has gone to build 13 new buildings. That's what that money is purpose for, and that's what it's been used for. All our elementaries are now basically a 70-year building. 2 of our middle schools are basically now a 70-year building, and so this is part of that. We don't propose a new building here, but heating and ventilating system. But the other thing, if you read the details here, it's an efficient system, and that's common also with every building we've built since the year 2000. Waterloo School District energy use is approximately 1/2 the public average because of the efficiencies we've built into all these schools, and that includes this one. Just an example, air handling units have variable speed motors. I don't want to get into the weeds too much here, but if you reduce the speed of a motor, this is a physics thing, by half, you reduce the energy consumption to 1/8. It doesn't quite work that way as theories would say, but close to that. So you're going to use 1/5 the energy on the electric motors. This is just an example of the sort of things that we built into each and every new school. So just thought I'd make that point that that's what the money is used for, the SAVE money and the PEPAL money, and that we have a history of building new, much better than what we replace.
Any other comments by board members? Seeing none, all in favor then, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Lyle. The next item on our agenda tonight is the proposed Waterloo Schools High School project. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the engagement of architectural services from Envision Architecture of Waterloo, Iowa, to further facilitate an in-depth exploration of the district's options concerning both chromatic and facility needs for high schools within the district, including the option of a single high school.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And we'll turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Yeah, before I get started, there's a couple handouts that I would like the board to have. And then Emily, you've got the handouts as well for some of the, I'm not sure if we have enough for everyone in the audience, but we're gonna get those handed out, so as I'm explaining what's going on here.
Will they be served?
Nope, we got, yep, if you could hand those out to everybody on the board, I'd like a copy too, and then, yes, those copies as well. I like to make sure they have one, and then whatever you got left, it can go to the audience. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll take one if that's okay.
You guys want to share that one, maybe?
Yep. Here you guys go. Okay, as Emily's handing those out, what I always like to do for these situations is give it context. There's people in this room who have known all this information about how we've gotten here. There's people in this room who this is brand new information to them. So I'm going to take a few minutes right now to just go over kind of how we got here. And then I will outline kind of my reasoning for proposing this project. We also have Kate and Brad from Envision here who will help answer questions of the board. Jeff, you're here if there's any finance questions. I've also got a number of district leaders here who are familiar with their roles in this project, and they can certainly help answer questions if necessary. So all the board has a list of about 50 individuals here. It's this document here. In 2012, this high school task force was created 11 years ago to look at the needs of our high schools. At that time, we knew East High and West High were both getting old. East High was built in 1918, West High was built in 1955. East High is currently 105 years old, West High is currently 68 years old. The average lifespan of a building, Brad and Kate, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is about 70 years, is what we've heard a couple different times. So East High is about 35 years past due, West High is about the 70-year mark. So in 2012, a task force was created, realizing that East High at the time was 90 plus years old. East High was about 55, 60 years old at that time. They knew something had to happen. So I wasn't here for that. I was here as an assistant principal. I was not on the task force. A lot of time and money and resources were committing to figure out what the solution was for the high schools. At that time, the gentleman referenced 2016, there was a bond referendum that did not pass. He's correct, the percentages were not great. What the district did was pivot at that time, and they built the Career Center, which some of you, Lyle, Sue, some of you guys were a part of. That has been as a huge, it's probably been, if you go around the state, Jeff Frost is in the audience, probably recognized as one of the premier, if not the premier, career center in the state. In addition to that Career Center, we also have added on, with Envision's help, we've just finished the construction for the expansion building, the Career Center expansion, which just sits right behind it, as well as the renovation of Central Middle School. I'm going to back up a little bit. When I started last year, about 16 months ago, I came in and was told pretty early on in my my start was that, hey, we've been having some conversations about what potentially it could look like to have one campus at the Central Middle School location. Obviously, what I've heard in the comments was that the location's not ideal. Of course, we wish we had a more centralized location for this campus. However, there's just simply not. There's two things. One, there's not a whole lot of land available. I know there were comments made about East High or West High land having enough space. Our records, our research indicates there's not enough space for a brand new building on East High or West High campus. In order to reuse those campuses, we'd have to actually renovate or demolish and then build again on those two properties. When I started in 2022, I was brought in and I was immediately told, hey, there's been some discussions about what to do with this one high school idea. My approach is to take action, is to bring the people in the room, to have a discussion about what is best for the kids of Waterloo. Immediately in 2012, I started conversations with, it was about 20 people to start, it grew to 25. That is this page right here. It's the High School Planning Committee 2023. This committee is made up of every high school principal. We've got some of them in the audience here. This committee is made up of every DLT member. We have most of them here today. This committee included Michael Coughlin, who passed away a few months ago. This committee included 3 board members, which has rotated over time. This committee also included 3 members from Envision. Over 16 months, we had 14 meetings where we discussed the high school plans. Each time we gathered more and more information. We looked at what our options are. We discussed whether or not West and East were an option. Can we rebuild or can we renovate East High and West High? Our research indicated that renovating East High and West High was not a feasible solution for 2 reasons. One, it would cost the exact same money to renovate East High and West High, $150+ million, as it would to build a brand new building. Some people might say, hey, what's so bad with that? What we discussed was there is no, when you go look at East High or West High, there's not any land where you can build a separate building. What this means is you would have to renovate. Renovation, and Brad and Kate, correct me if I'm wrong, renovation of any high school would take between 3 and 4 years. We have no idea where we would put those kids at East High and West High, 1,700 kids at West, 1,000 kids at East. We have no idea where those students would go to 3 or 4 years. We cannot simply put them in a different building. There's no other place for them to go. After those conversations, 14 meetings, we said East High, West High is just not a reasonable solution. We must look at the central campus as our only solution at this point to address these needs. Another conversation was the finance conversation. We wanted to know, we did not feel like it would be right to ask the taxpayers of Waterloo to pay an increase on property tax for this building plan. Jeff and Michael before him worked with our consultants and came up with a plan that does not touch any of our property tax to build this potential building. As Lyle indicated, we would only use the 1% the revenue tax to build this building. This is something we've been using for 20+ years to build new buildings in this district. This is not a novel idea. This is something we have done to rebuild every single, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, every single elementary building in this district, as well as Carver, and as well as the central renovation. At that point, we had to figure out what is next. Which building is next? The payments for Lowell will be done here very shortly. And so we need to do, so now with that 1% sales tax, that $13 million a year, what do we address next? The options are Bunger, Hoover, or our high schools. The age of the high schools are by far, if you look especially at East High, the oldest buildings in the district. It is only reasonable for us to look at the high schools as the next project. So you look at that combined with 10 plus years of committee meetings, of conversations, of flying all over the country to determine what the best route is for the high schools. So with that information, we brought in our leadership team, 25 people. And again, you might, it's like, well, do we bring in community members or do we trust, do we look at our leadership team? Of course we will talk with community, which we're going to talk about what those next steps look like. But when you don't go to a bond referendum, which you don't have to in this, the first step is to look at your district leadership and say, does this make sense? Is this a reasonable next step that we can take to the school board and ask them to give their blessing to move forward in exploring this project? On August 31st, we had 23 people in the room. I mentioned them earlier: principals, district leadership team members, school board members, members of Envision. On 8/31, we had a unanimous vote, 23 out of 23, to move forward with this plan. 23 leaders who we trust to make decisions for our kids and for our staff said this is our next step. On October 19th, we came back in the same room, 3 school board members, 5 principals, a number of district leadership team members, 23 people in total. We gave them 2 options, and this is exactly how it happened. We said, hey, do we feel good about moving forward with this plan? Good enough within this room that we're going to move forward, make an announcement in November, and then come back in December and ask the board for their permission to move forward to explore this project. We had 2 options. One was to move forward with a little bit faster timeline to make this, and the reason for doing that was so that we could open the building in 2028. Or do we take a few extra months? Do we have some town hall meetings? And do we delay this project by a year, even though we know this is the best solution for our students? Do we take more time for, to just, we had talked about all kinds of options. At that time, we said, you know what? It's time for the Waterloo schools to do what's best for kids. We know what our students need. We know what our staff need. In that meeting on October 19th, I sat up in front of the 23 people, and I said, we have 2 options. You can vote one of 2 ways. I don't care which way it is. It's a safe space. We can move forward and move quickly so we can get our kids in this building as quickly as possible, which would be 2028. Or do we take more time and open, and there's pros and cons to both, but do we take more time and do we open the doors in 2029? Each one of the people, 22 out of 23 people in that room said we move forward. We move forward. We have enough information. We know what our kids want. We know what our staff want. At that point, we committed to announcing, we said, okay, on November 20th, we're coming out with this proposal. So November 20th, we came out with a proposal and said, hey, here's what we're looking at. I know I'm going a little bit long-winded, but I wanted to have a chance to respond to some of the questions. Within this proposal, we made a commitment to not close East High or West High. I'm a former Wahawk. I went to West High. I graduated in 2000. I also worked at East High. I was a Trojan as an assistant principal there from 2012 to 2016. I understand, as many of us do in the room, the importance of the Wahawks and the Trojans. Under this plan, we said there's no way we're going to close East High and West High. Under this plan, we would, and many of you know this already, but East High and West High would be 8th and 9th grade buildings still. So kids would still be Trojans and Wahawks. However, there's so much positive that we see as a leadership team who know education, who understand our kids, who know what our kids want. There is so much positive within this proposal that to us, it was an absolute, it's been a long time coming for this. Now, perhaps in 2012, 2016, people weren't ready. I tell you what, when I talk with staff, when I talk with kids, when I talk with parents, these kids are ready for this project. And we're not saying we're gonna break ground tomorrow. We're saying, hey, we need to invest our time and resources into seeing what Envision can put together for this project. So I want to be clear that East High and West High would still be open. The funding is available through the like Lyle talked about, through the 1% sales tax, which again, that's a common misperception out there that I want to make sure the board is clear on. This would not impact property taxes. Another question is about PEPL. What happens with PEPL? So PEPL, we would not, under this current plan, we're still working through it. We have a meeting next week. We are trying our best, and we feel pretty good, like we're trying our best. We don't think, as of right now, our plan has that PEPL would not be touched. Meaning, and Jeff, you're the expert here.
No, I'm just agreeing with you, yes.
So that means, because the question I'm hearing is we're using that 13 million a year for new building construction. We are still setting aside 3 million a year, and when we get to 2028, 5 million a year in PEPL funds to meet the needs of our other buildings. That 5 million a year, starting in 2028, which is what the community voted on a couple months ago, is $2 million more than we've ever had to address the building needs across the district. So I want the community, everybody's watching at home, I want to be clear that we will have more funds than we've ever had to address the other buildings in this district. So keep that in mind, because I know there's a common misconception about that. I'm going long-winded. I'm going to pause here in a second, but I want to make sure I get all this out for people who are unaware. Probably just the thing I'm most excited about is I mentioned this in my meeting, is, I do feel like the kids in the Waterloo schools at times don't get everything they deserve, right? We try our best, right? But right now, and I heard it earlier, like, we are falling behind the times with our facilities. We are falling behind the times with our facilities. Too often it gets caught up in these types of conversations where we listen to a few negative people when we really don't do what's the best for the kids in the community. What we can do for this community is give this community the best high school the state has ever seen. I'm going to say that again. We can give this community the best high school the state has ever seen. Yes, there's some things to get figured out. There's some things about staffing. There's some things about busing. I get that. But it's time for us to do this for the kids. It's time for us to do this for the kids. Waterloo can become the premier urban school district in the state. When I see the new building projects, they're almost always in the suburban districts, right? They're in the Waukees. No disrespect. They're in the Southeast Polks. They're in the Ankeneys. They're next door to us. They're close to us, right? It's time for us, I believe, and that's what the group of 23 people, when we're talking through this project, said it's time for us to set the bar high for the kids of Waterloo. Sure, there are some things that we need to get figured out, but the group that has met with us 16 times the last year and a half, unanimously, as experts for what's best for kids, are saying this is what's the best. So I wanted to start off with that. Again, I could probably talk for an hour about this, about the rationale. And I know you're in a tough position. I know you're all in tough positions, right? Because you're hearing from people. You're hearing from people in your wards, and I want to make sure we come away when. That's why we've got Brad and Kate here. There's some questions about what would go into the proposal. But again, one more thing I want to share is we have monitored social media. We have monitored all the other communications out there. Our records indicate that between 85 and 90% of the feedback we've received on this project has been positive. We've looked at every single post that's out there on social media. We know social media can be super negative. We know that. 85 to 90%, the posts that are positive about this strongly outweigh the negative posts about this. Not to mention, and again, Emily, our communications team is here. We're not receiving phone calls to the district. We're not receiving, very minimal. So I want to be clear, sometimes we get in these conversations and we do hear we want to hear the feedback. The feedback that is out there when this came out was overwhelmingly positive. I want you to keep that in mind. With that, I will, Brad and Kate, we've got you here to maybe talk through the proposal a little bit for us. That's what they have in front of them. I would, if you guys could maybe approach the mic here, and we could talk through what the proposal looks like, so the board is clear, so the people who are here are clear as well.
And then board questions will be after Brad and Kate, right? Okay.
Okay, thanks for having us. We're really here mostly to answer questions, but, you know, I think we heard a lot of questions tonight about this, and there are a lot of questions out there floating, because it's a big, bold vision for the community. And I think we're here to, this first phase of exploration is meant to answer more of those questions. It's about to put some meat around those things, so that we have some of that. So there's been some exploration to this point, but we need some verification, and I will say that this process is about approving that exploration. And we will bring conceptual design, which we call schematic design, which is what is the general scope of the project, what could it look like, how might it be laid out, in a very broad kind of way. And the intent is between now and spring to come back to you with that, and you all, and answer a lot of those questions that are on the table. And so that'll come back to the board, and you can all say, hey, we're going to keep going, or you can say, hey, we're going to stop at that point. So that's kind of where we are. It's about exploration right now. So with that, I think we'll answer any questions you guys have.
I have a specific question regarding that. The proposal outlines your fees through the whole duration of the project, to the extent it proceeds. Can the project be truncated at any time?
Yeah, you certainly have the right to stop work. If you say, hey, this doesn't feel right, then we're going to stop. So yes,
And
you're not committing to the whole project. And so let me say that basically we've had an agreement with the district for over 20 years. It's a master contract. This project fits within the framework of that master contract. So we're working within that. Yeah,
So
Stacy.
if we do say, like in February, let's say we decide we're not going to go forward, what will be charged then? So can we talk about it a little bit. Kate, can you walk through what we would be charged for what you've done then?
Yeah, so what you're asking to approve is kind of full schematic design through March, basically, or spring, roughly. Our base contract with the district, is usually, well, for a project like this would be probably over 6.5% of construction. Actually, this is less. On this project, we're estimating, this project has more consultants, so we have a theater, we have some other specialty pieces, so we're going to have consultants that we wouldn't normally have on a project, like an acoustical consultant, like a theater consultant, like technology and equipment for some of those specialty spaces. And so normally the fee would be higher than that, but because of the scale of the project, we're proposing a 5.8% fee for all of it. That spring portion of that really is about 15 to 20% of that kind of process. But as Lyle said, you can stop us in February. That would take us through spring.
So at that point, what would we owe, is what I'm saying? Like
5.8% based on the 135 million, or on what figure?
Yeah.
The 135, but it's, schematic design through spring would be 15 to 20% of that. So we're going to have a team. We're going to have mechanical engineers. We're going to have electrical engineers. We're going to have structural engineers.
But is it essentially an hourly basis based on the hours input so far if it gets truncated?
We could set it up that way if that's the way you prefer. But we're going to have to move, if we're going to hit 2028, we need to kind of be all in. So there's a lot of work to do. We have about a year of planning in that process. So
So are we looking at a for schematic design to be finished? Are we looking at the first part of March, end of February, first part of March, end of March? What does that look like?
Right now, the schedule is that the schematic design wraps up at the end of March, and then we do a pricing exercise to make sure that what we're designing is consistent with your budget.
So from now until, let's say, mid-January, what does that look like? How far through the process, from your standpoint, will we be?
So starting in January, prior to January, we're really putting together a list of what we call a program, how many rooms you need and how big they are. Once we hit January, we kind of move into really taking that and turning it into what the building could look like. And at that point, we're really starting to design the thing, not just understand what your specific needs are. That's when we synthesize it into a three-dimensional kind of an idea. Without getting in the weeds, in mid-January, we won't be very far along. In mid-January, we will maybe have a diagrammatic floor plan and a sense of how many square feet this thing could be.
And you might say stop at that point, if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, because we'll be doing our forums.
Yeah, that's
with the
why I
community.
asked.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to make sure that the community is heard. I think we've heard from enough people, and we want to be as transparent as possible with this process. So we want to make sure that those individuals in the community know that their voices will be heard before we get to a point where we're too far.
Absolutely. We have some people who talk about schools and say, well, you just stamp out plans everywhere and they all look the same, right? And that's really not true. I think schools across the state that we design are different, and they're honed to the community. And, that starts with listening and talking to people. And so we need to do some of that. We need to find out what the Waterloo way is. And I think that's just super important. So absolutely, Esther.
Can you touch on other schools in the state that would be around the same size? Because I know that's something that has been brought up a lot. And are there other districts that have buildings this big? Or that hold this many students, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if you have that
I've got it right
data,
here.
Jared.
So in your hand, I guess you didn't get that. So right now, and I'll just list off a few high schools for you.
Yeah.
Linn-Mar, so we're looking at just shy of 2,000 students in this building.
Ballpark 2,000.
It'll be built for 2,200 as my in this proposal. Are you comfortable? 2,200 because we're bringing in both East and West, plus the Expo Alternative High School students, plus some of those other alternative. So enrollment, we're
But
looking.
it leaves room for growth as well, correct?
Yes. Projected enrollment would be just shy of 2,000 students. For comparison's sake, Linn-Mar, and we've looked these up, and it was also in the press release, but we've got Linn-Mar at about 2,250 kids.
Okay.
Southeast Polk at about 2,200 kids. West Des Moines Valley, which would also be, the first two I mentioned are 9 through 12 high schools. Consider this would be a 10 through 12 high school, so you could look at that a couple different ways. West Des Moines Valley is probably the most comparable in terms of size and in terms of grade levels. West Des Moines Valley's 10 through 12, and they've got roughly 2,050 kids. Also, a number of the Des Moines public schools are all larger than this would be. Des Moines Lincoln's about 2,300 kids. Des Moines East is 2,100 kids. Des Moines Roosevelt is about just shy of 2,100 kids. We think this would be around 8th to 10th largest high school in the state. Keep in mind that West High currently is 1,700 kids.
Right.
So we're looking at, West High is 9 through 12 with 1,700 kids. We're reducing it down to 10 through 12, but we're only adding 250-ish to 300 more kids to what West High is right now.
So there's only 250 to 300 kids in 10th, 11th, and 12th at East?
No, you're taking out
No,
the
you
nine.
take it off
Oh,
all the freshmen.
net, you're talking
Yeah,
net.
West
Oh,
High's
got
freshman
it.
class is 530 maybe.
So there would be an expo portion of the school built then?
The planning right now is that Expo Alternative High School would be included in the program
a single high school.
But it is an independent kind of program within.
It would
Yeah,
be its
always
own
been talked
center.
about as
Yeah.
being sort of a standalone thing
Yeah.
within the context of the larger building.
Thank you.
So, reading the recommendation, and it talks about exploration of the district's options. And I know that sounds big, but could you kind of just maybe give me some bullet points of what exactly that means?
So right now, you know, one of the things on the table is how big of an auditorium is necessary? How is it going to serve the district? What happens with the other auditoriums in the district? Similarly with the athletic facilities, what's the right size and number of spaces? We need to really dig in to understand what the impact is there. There's also site implications. How many new ball fields? How does the site grow? How do you deal with traffic? Somebody mentioned traffic. You know, all those things are on the table to better understand so that we can make sure that good decisions are being made and that the community has input on all those things.
And that takes into account also what we already have and how we would continue to utilize what's already in the district, correct?
Absolutely.
Right, I mean, that's part of the exploration process.
Yeah, I mean, auditoriums are a good example. right?
Yeah, okay.
And gyms are a good example. There are other ones in the district.
Also, like science rooms, for example, like how many science rooms do we need? We have science rooms at East, we have science rooms at West. When they come together, do we need the same number, or are there efficiencies to be had in bringing those groups together? Typically, they are.
And like the square footage of a science room is different than a math room because you have
Right.
the stations and everything, yeah, okay.
So you also have a lot of specialty programming in Waterloo, more so than most districts that we work with. So we're trying to get our arms around that and making sure we have all those things accommodated for.
One thing I wanted to mention, I didn't mention during my monologue there, was we brought in, and I think you're aware, we brought in all 6 athletic directors.
Okay.
West High School athletic director, East High School athletic director, and then when you go down the middle schools, Bunger, Carver, Hoover, Central. Unanimous, 6 out of 6 said this is the best thing for our kids in terms of athletics. We also brought in band teachers from both East and West. We brought in the others during other conversations. I was in that meeting with you guys last week. We've got unanimous support from our, they're seeing the needs for this, the needs for these facilities, the needs for these rooms, the needs for our fine arts teachers. I don't know if anybody's in the audience here, but like they are like chomping at the bit to have this. And Janelle, you could speak on this more than I could, but when you talk about just some of the extracurriculars, which you're kind of getting at there a little bit, like I know there's some questions in the community. The people who work with these kids every single day, that oversee these programs, know how important this is to our kids.
Right. Because I know like marching band was brought up as like, well, they can't start in 9th grade then, but how does like CF do? I don't know how other places do it. Janelle, do you know how that works?
Yeah, CF's high school is 10 through 12, and they just have 10 through 12 marching band. Currently, it's optional for freshmen at West to march, and it's not optional for freshmen at East to march. They have to.
So if we have 2 8-9 programs, they could be marching too?
I think that would be up to the directors that we hire for those,
Right.
whether they're interested in that or not.
But I mean, it could happen.
It could happen.
Yeah, okay. We used to march in middle school, back in the day here.
So let me add along that there are committees that have been set up to dig into this stuff further. It's kind of outside the planning of the building and how all those groups can come together and we've really suggested that those meetings happen within the school district. And as far as I know, that's been going on.
Okay, any other questions for Brad and Kate? I mean, we can do board comments that might call you back up. Dr. Smith may be able to answer, Jeff may be able to answer. But do we want to start with board comments? We'll start with you, Lyle. You're chomping at the bit down there.
Okay, the key word in all this is explore, so put that in the back of your brain. Almost everything I say, preface it with explore. And I think in terms of 4 buckets: cost, savings, performance, and public input. And it's an iterative process. We gather information, we publish it, we get feedback, gather more information, publish it, get feedback. It's going to be an iterative process through the whole thing. It has been so far. We're at the point of just rolling it out to a more general public than we have in the past. Okay, costs. We have an initial estimate of 165 million, but that's not accurate enough to bond against. We need peel the onion back another layer, get the schematic diagrams, then recalculate the cost, re-estimate the cost, as well as add the costs in for constructing converting east and west, both of them to 8-9, as well as a more firm cost of what it would do to truly make a 70-year school, if you will, out of both east and west. So those are the unknowns. The whole thing of exploring is to answer the unanswered questions. You heard a lot of unanswered questions, or a lot of questions. We propose to answer all of them that were put out there during the public forum. So that's the cost side. The savings side, the same way. We have duplicate programs now. International Baccalaureate, AP, ROTC, a number of duplicate programs that we can save. So the comment earlier was, why don't we use the save money to pay teachers? Well, you can't do that. Save money is exclusive for buildings, but you can design the buildings such that they become more efficient, and you can ultimately pay the teachers more because there's fewer teachers doing more. You don't have a class of 6 over here and a class of 8 over here. You can have one class of 14. And then we have to ask, the savings, how much will it save? We don't know that yet because we haven't really done the schematics, combined the courses, estimated that. That's part of what's being proposed tonight. But the other question is, what if we don't change anything? What happens? Do we continue on as is? Do we thrive, or is it a downward spiral? So, first of all, we've got, 700 open enrollments out. That's $5.5 million a year we don't receive, that we could receive, because those students reside in the district. We're also losing, over the last 10 years, hasn't been large, but it's averaged 40 students a year. Well, that's another $300,000 a year that we're kind of on that downward spiral. So I think we need to be somewhat concerned about that. I don't know if we've seen the full impact of the education savings accounts or not, but that possibility, well, possibly, I thought we'd see more this year, we did not, but we may in the future. So that's an unknown that's out there. We don't know what the effect of opening the new Cedar Falls High School will be. Whether we lose more students because it's a new school or not. So there's a lot of things out there, so you have a question, what happens if we don't do something? What are the risks associated with that? The third bucket is performance. And this is the bucket, I think, that's most important in my mind. The world has changed. From the year 2000 to 2020, our graduation rate went up from 65% to 85%. We were making steady progress. Part of that was the opening of the Waterloo Career Center. When it was first envisioned in, 2011, 12, 13, it was designed to improve graduation rate by giving an alternate to students who really weren't doing all that well. Matter of fact, many not graduating in the traditional setting. So we began it with the intent that, 20, 25, 30% of the students may really benefit from this school. Well, as it turns out, as I said, the world has changed. Our performance in our traditional schools is on a downward trend. It is in the state as well. Absenteeism is really bad. In the whole state of Iowa, 4 years ago, the ones chronically absent, which is defined as missing more than 10% of the year, was 9%. This last year, it was 26%. Went from 9% to 26% chronically absent. In our high schools last year, just the high schools, not the overall elementary, the absentee rate was 20%. The absentee rate at the Career Center, and there's about 1,000 students there, was 2%. 20% versus 2%. The message is, kids really aren't all that interested in coming to traditional school every day, but they like to build things and fix things. And that creates their interest. And by the way, if you look at the demographics, it's a little bit light, but the demographics at the Waterloo Career Center almost mirror that of the district. Not quite. So it's really, if you're going to give equal opportunity for all, performance is, I think, the biggest argument. And that's the reason adjacency to the Career Center. The number one reason more kids don't go to the Career Center is you have to bus, you lose, they don't have adjacency. In my mind, just my mind of course, it was originally thought to be beneficial for 25% of the students. I think now it's 75% of the students. I think 75% of the students would benefit from a career course regardless of what they end up as a profession. And by the way, as the cost to go to college has escalated, and as companies, more and more of them have eliminated a college degree in order to get a job there, the whole picture becomes more and more relevant. I think we're very much on the right track. And by the way, the comment earlier was the bond failed. It did fail, but it failed because the community said, don't raise our taxes. But the feedback from all the sessions was, clearly, you're on the right track. We do believe in career education. We do believe in hands-on learning. And that's why we elected to go ahead and build it slowly instead of fast. But the big message from those meetings was, you're on the right track. So they weren't a waste at all. And that's the track we followed. But the message, and I think it still is, don't raise our taxes. So that's the message that we are heard and still hear today. And then lastly, it's just the public input. And I said earlier, it's an iterative process. We've had these committees of 20 people, 30 people, 40, because you have to have something to throw on the wall for people to digest. And that's the stage we're in right now. People are digesting it. We're hearing the feedback. There are solutions. If we don't have one of the questions covered, we will cover it. So that's where we're at. It's an iterative process, so I think we need to go ahead with the next stage here, which is more than just asking Kate and Brad, hey, how about this? What do you think of this? Have a few meetings. It's now time to officially say, all right, we're going to pay you for the project. But I clarified, if the meeting's coming up, and I'm sure you're going to mention when, in January. We've had one meeting with staff. There's another meeting, I think, tomorrow night with staff. Then there's 4 meetings in January. Every one of those meetings is it's another part of the iterative process. It's going to change the picture. But to me, the whole thing gives around the performance gap, adjacency to Waterloo Career Center. It's the single most effective programs we have. There's how many careers there now? 16. 16. We're going to add 4 more this fall, so it's going to be 20. As Jared indicated, it will be the largest, most comprehensive high school, and the only one with an adjacent career center that every single student will have access to without losing travel time, without going anywhere else. I rest my case.
Okay, now, before we go, I'll just kind of state these dates and times for the town hall meetings for people to know if you want to write those down, and then also just some planning. If you do want copies of who was on that committee or who was on the original committee in 2012, Ms. Arndorfer would be able to email you that or pick up a copy from her so you can see the names that were there. The dates for the town hall meetings are Saturday, January 20th, 9 a.m. at Kittrell Elementary, Thursday, January 25th, 5 p.m. at the Waterloo Career Center, Saturday, January 27th, 9 a.m. at Poynter Elementary, and Thursday, February 1st, 5 p.m. at the Cunningham School for Excellence. This is all also on our website. Now, we'll continue with board members. Janelle.
Thank you. Lyle, you thought that out so much. I have just a few things to add to that. Today's vote by us is just to give Envision the ability to explore this, to pay them the money to do their actual work, to plan this out and see if it's within our budget. It's not saying that one high school will be built. Today's vote is just paying the money to the architects to work this up, please, and let's see if we can fit this in our budget as an option. Maybe it will work within our budget, maybe it won't. But like Lyle said, the message full and clear from the community in 2016 was, you cannot raise our taxes in order to build this new building, and we hear you. The directive from the community at that time was, make it fit within the money you have, and we hear you, but we have to do something. As Jared said, we have to do something to move forward, and this is our step today that we're making to see if this works within our budget. I am a former teacher, and I'm on this board because I'm very, very interested in my hometown and in how the education system works for our students in our hometown. And what I can tell you is that I absolutely 100% believe that teachers are the engine that makes education happen and reduces the gap in learning between all the kids here in Waterloo. If we get a thing, a shiny new high school, something, whatever it is that comes out of this Envision architecture workup, that is going to attract teachers, greater teachers here that want to be here. And as Lyle said, if we do things right and reduce inefficiencies, we will have more money to pay our teachers. Teachers are what makes this work. Not a shiny new building, although it does attract high-quality teachers. Not curriculum, it's the people who teach the curriculum. And I believe that if we move forward any way we do, however we do, to fix the fact that our high schools are over 70 years old, we are going to attract more teaching talent here that is going to help our students. I care about that so very much, and I personally am in favor of voting yes on tonight's request to fund this exploratory action.
Esther?
Well, I have a pretty unique perspective, and I have so many questions, so those DLT members in the back, get ready. I do feel that this is intriguing enough to explore a little further. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm 100% for it at this point. I know people I've talked to, and I see Amy is shaking her head. I have some grave concerns. Going back to a couple of the speakers that we had earlier, and history repeating itself. And I don't want to be a part of something that isn't the best fit right for our students. So again, my questions will need to be answered before, after the exploration phase. And some of those questions are you may think are minor: busing, personnel, access, athletics, extracurriculars, lack of support and resources for certain areas. I think those are all major questions that we all need to look into. But I think this exploration phase gives us an opportunity to do that. I'll say it, and I'll say it on the record. We will listen. We are voted in. We're public figures, we're voted into these positions, and I don't know one person on this board that's willing to not listen to the people that voted them into this position. This is a large amount of money. I made a comment earlier on in the process when I was made aware of it. This is probably the biggest thing, and I've been in Waterloo since 1986. This is probably the biggest thing that has ever happened to our community, bigger than the John Deere layoffs, bigger than anything that we've ever seen, and probably the biggest thing that I'm sure I'll see in my lifetime if it does go forward. So I won't take this lightly, I won't take my vote lightly, and I won't take the input from the public and the community lightly. So continue to reach out, continue to make your voices heard, show up to those town hall meetings. We'll announce them again at the end, just so we can get more information, because this is huge. This is huge. I have a 7-year-old son, and I didn't get on the board because my children attended Waterloo schools. I got on the board because I wanted to know a little bit more about how the processes and procedures worked in this. But I'm also a community advocate, and I speak for marginalized communities and students that I serve on a daily basis. So, like I said, I just think it's intriguing enough to look into it and to explore. I don't want to shut it down if this could be actually the greatest thing that we've seen in our community. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Crystal, you're new to this process, but let's hear from you tonight.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go before me, but that's okay. I thought I had a little bit more time. That's all right. Okay, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I was sitting here thinking, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in 2012 when this conversation first came up. And then once again, with the high school planning committee and with all the unanimous voting, I would love to hear about the possibilities. And so if this is voted in, I'm looking forward to explore. That's what exploring is. Inquiry into discuss in detail. So I'm looking forward for us to look into the details about the disparities that have come up this evening. I'm looking forward to talk about the achievement gap. I'm looking forward to what are the different options that we can close those gaps within our students, because as one person spoke, those disparities between East and West have been here for a long time. I'm an older individual here, I graduated a long time ago, and those disparities were there when I was at West High as well. So I'm looking forward to the possibilities of exploring. That's how this was presented to me as an exploration, and that's exactly how I'm taking it. We are exploring the possibilities, and I'm looking forward to the town hall meetings that are coming up, because I do want to hear from our community and my constituents in this area. So I've been diligently taking notes. I almost ran out of lead. As I was sitting, I had to make sure I bring a second pencil as I do these town hall meetings, but I'm looking forward, thank you, looking forward to to talk about the possibilities. The buildings and everything, when I walked into the Career Center, I was in awe how it looked, but I know it goes beyond that. I want to know how this is going to help our students in their academic achievement and deal with those disparities. Thank you.
Good job, thank you. Jesse.
All right, excuse me, I'm kind of light on voice today. So, Lyle, you had a great summary there, other board members, great comments. And we talk about operating efficiencies. This is definitely, from an engineering perspective, I think ideal. Be able to reduce some overlap and use some more synergies. I also think about why, the success we have with the Career Center, our children there, and we hear about why kids can't go there. And think, well, every once in a while I hear, well, my kids want to go there, but they can't. So you start, why does that happen? So, you take a situation where one scenario, you have a kid that gets behind schedule in their classes. Maybe they were struggling in math, and now they got to take math again their sophomore year. We don't like that. It happens sometimes. Each year they go forward that they got to take a class that they had already had a mistake in, they lose an elective. Career Center works on 2-hour blocks. So to go take a Career Center class, you got to give up 2 class periods. So if you're behind schedule as you get to be a junior or senior, your opportunity to go there has just been diminished. And it might be because you weren't quite ready for class when you're a freshman or a sophomore. So now you're behind schedule. You can't, and some of the kids that need to be out there, want to be out there, they don't have the opportunity because they got to go back and take their core courses just to stay on schedule to graduate. By being able to co-locate those kids at the same location, we provide more opportunity by cutting down this travel piece, some of the block scheduling challenges we have to get these more kids access there. Other kids who do not always get access. We talked about our IB program. Most of our IB kids don't get many chances at Career Center because of the scheduling. They don't have elective space to be able to take a 2-hour block away and go to the Career Center. Same way as some of our AP students. You have students that are in the fine arts, same thing. They only have so many electives, especially in the early years. They are not necessarily afforded the opportunity to take classes at the Career Center. Co-locating all these programs there will allow for more access to that because we're eliminating some of the gaps that keep children from being able to attend the courses, giving more kids the same opportunities that don't necessarily exist in our current 2 high school format. And, I also support with, we'll be able to attract a lot more, I think, highly qualified teachers. We got great teachers now, and I think we'll be able to bring in more with being able to really look at everybody's strengths and what classes we have and be able to offer, some class sizes that are appropriate. When we have, a class that only has, 6, 7 kids in it in one building and another building's got, 8 or 9, we're not very efficient there. Here we can be more efficient and then be able to hopefully be able to compensate teachers even more. So I see a lot of benefits. The community, I think, will see a lot with being able to get, bring the kids together into these buildings and be able to offer them a much more robust and efficient education. So.
Thank you, Jesse. And Stacy.
Sorry, I just broke my mic. Sorry, the puffy thing came off. So I think the crew kind of nailed it all, but there's just a few things I wanted to touch on. Exploration process, and the 2 big points in that are transparency and community input. So that is what Dr. Smith, that's how he operates, and that is what he's committed to do, and that is what we are committed to do, and that is what DLT is committed to do. There won't be secrets in this. And you voted for us, it's your money, we listen. Now, there are a few things I wanted to touch on as well, that the project isn't going to take away or discount work that still needs to be done. So, attendance. It's abysmal. We will be working on attendance. We're not going to wait the 5 years till there's a new building to work on attendance. Basic math and literacy skills. If kids can't read, they can't succeed. They can't read, they can't succeed. Can't do math, you're not going to be able to get the jobs that make money. We're going to continue to focus on social emotional learning, mental health. We're going to keep working on the achievement gap. Building community and family involvement. Right now, the Equity Committee is doing so much work with that, and we're going to keep building that. And cultivating the community with the whole district, but without discounting the diversity that makes us what we are. That's what Waterloo is. Our diversity is what makes us special, what makes us beautiful. So to say that we all want to be together and have one Waterloo does not mean that we all want to be the same. It means we're going to give everybody, we want to look at everybody and give everybody what they need. Equity. I think that was it. Thanks.
Okay, I'm last but not least, I guess. As Crystal said, be a fly in the wall that meeting in 2012. We do have some flies in the wall here. Lyle was there, Amy Meehee was there, and Tamara Willis was there. It was a process, and it was devastating when that bond vote was defeated. It really was. And we went through this whole thing. Many of the ideas were one high school with 8, 9 in one building. That was back in 2012 that this committee went went and took part in. So this is not a novel concept. This concept has been around for a very long time. And it's encouraging to see all of you here tonight, and it's encouraging for those that spoke. I want to thank each and every one of you who got up here to speak, because what this does is bring perspective and bring opinion, and it may bring things that we don't understand, that it's not in the scope of how we think, and it brings us to a different conclusion. And so I appreciate every single person that took the time. It shows you care. And to really care about your community and your schools, I wish you'd come every meeting. I mean, it shows you care about your schools. You cares about the people up here, the teachers, the students, and that's what we need. As far as the project, I think it is very valid and very worth exploring, as everyone has said. It's not a vote here tonight to say, yes, this is how Waterloo is going to go forward. We would not do that. We need transparency, and we need the trust of our public to go forward. So if we have town hall meetings, which we announce the times, and people say no, and it is all negative, and as Dr. Smith alluded to, we haven't received that many negativity. I myself, as a board member, received 8 negative emails. So I don't want to discount that, and I have read each one, and I printed them, and I have in a file. This will be my last board meeting, so I will not be here to vote on further projects, but I wanted to go on record in stating that I totally support the exploration and the concept of one high school because of the disparities, because of my 3 children attended West High, I attended West High. I think that it only makes my kids stronger to be from Waterloo. When they've gone to UNI, went to college in Minneapolis, they said this was the greatest, most diverse place that they ever were at, was Waterloo. So I want to applaud all of you for being part of that also. But I do believe that this is a worthy project, and it is not a project that is a done deal, as a lot of people say. It is a project that we will explore, that we will possibly expand or minimize, but we will listen to the public. So I just wanted to state that, and with that, I will call for a vote of the board. Is this roll call, or? Let's go with the roll call vote. So we'll start with you, Lyle.
Yes.
Janelle.
Aye.
Esther.
Yes.
Crystal.
Yes.
Jesse.
Yes.
Stacy.
Aye.
And Chair also votes aye. The motion carries 7-0 unanimously. And again, this is not a vote that we need to say we have one high school right now. It is an exploration vote of the future Waterloo. So thank you all for coming, and then we will move on to our next item agenda, which we have quite a few more, so feel free to stay this evening. The next item is our board policy changes, which this is the second reading, and maybe we'll take time for everybody that wants to head out, and if any board members need to use the restroom. We will have a break shortly for the audience with our new, but as we lost Stacy and Jesse, we'll wait a moment. We'll just pause.
Yeah. Mine's.
Just finished.
Yeah.
Right, so we can do that, talk about it.
My wife's talking to Dave Williams. My wife's talking to Dave Williams. Do you know Dave Williams? Yeah.
I'm surprised David Deed showed up.
And Steve has an hour. Yeah. I hope they stick around, I'm not sure.
Corey's out there. I want to see if he can move
What are we taking, an informal break?
Yep.
We still got ways to go.
intermission is over.
Isn't that does? Yeah.
Flash the lights.
No, flash the light.
And on. Here we go. Where's the left?
Flip them up and down. Flip them up and down. Yeah, pretty slow.
We're missing Lyle.
You like the art style of intermission?
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the intermission has concluded.
Yes. Okay, we're going to be starting here in just a moment. We appreciate you guys hanging around, and we're waiting for our secretary because she keeps track of everything, and Lyle.
And that guy.
It's okay, they'll fix it. But again, thank you all for your patience tonight, and it'll just be 1 second, maybe.
Pam, where are you?
Oh.
Give me more water.
And we are just waiting on the board secretary. She'll be right back, doing something very important for us. So,
AM, 2 a.m.
No.
108, page.
You can call it back to order.
Okay, we are called back to order today, and we have a little adjustment here. Board Member Williams?
Yep. Can we make a friendly amendment to the agenda and move up item 19, the naming of the Irving Elementary Playground?
Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will move that up, so we'll start now with that, okay? And, let's see, now I have to get that.
It's 108.
Okay, the superintendent's recommendation is, oh, sorry. The Board of Education approved the naming of the India Clarice Johnson Memorial Playground located on the campus of Irving Elementary School.
So move.
Second.
And we will have Dr. Smith, and we have Zach Zimmerman, the principal of Irving, here, if he'd come up to the mic, and Zach Kelly, is he here tonight, or he's in the back room? Okay, so Zach Zimmerman and Dr. Smith can give us a little background on this, and we have some special guests here this evening.
Yep.
We'll do a little background, and then we're going to have our special guests come up, if that's okay?
Push your button on, Zach. Push the button where the microphone's at. There should be a green light.
All right, now we're good? Oh, I can hear me. Oh, that's awkward. Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to give you a little backstory. So I had an opportunity to first meet Corey in India as a fifth grade teacher at Irving, working with their oldest daughter, Janae, and their youngest daughter, Eris. One thing about the Johnsons that they've been actively involved when their time at Irving. Janae was in morning intervention group, and they would drop her off every morning around 7:15 to work with me, and then little sister Eris started tagging along. Throughout that time, they were actively involved, both of them, whether it was any initiatives that were going on or extracurricular activities. As India transited into being a board member, we always had conversations about our lackluster playground, and we just joked about that, pretty frequently. We had different events that happened within the district, WCC, then Low Building collapse, and so it always got put on the back burner. But India was always the one, like, Irving needs a playground. Irving needs a playground. So I can't think of any better way than honoring India. She did so much behind the scenes, as many of us know. Our Irving family is 100% supportive of it.
Okay, and Ms. Arndorfer likes to say something.
So Zach, you just made me smile because as a member of the facilities committee, that is so true. She consistently, where are we with Irving? Where are we with the Irving playground? Hey, by the way, guys, where's the Irving playground? So she just was so like, we need to do this, not only for the students, but for the community.
I think she always stated it was the value for the kids around there, that the kids didn't have a place to play and that they needed a place to play. And that was her advocation for that. And it just was strong and loud, and it was good, yes.
So,
Nope, you go.
okay. It was actually at India's celebration of life, one of the most impressive ceremonies I've ever seen, I want to say, which is the speeches. A number of us were there. But we were just getting finished. Corey just got done speaking, and his family, and I don't know who it was, if it was somebody in this room or if it was but somebody said, hey, we need to name that playground after her, came up to me and said that. And I think a couple other people had the same thought, and it just made so much sense. It made so much sense that we would do that. From what I saw, it's only been, I mentioned last month, a short time with her, but just the passion she had for the kids, for all that she did for Irving, and it just made so much sense. Threw the idea out to the board, and they were fully supportive. The faculty at Irving also, just the perfect way to commemorate her with this naming. So I appreciate the support from the board on this idea.
Okay, we will call her husband up, James, and there is Remy, and this is James and India's littlest one. They have two other little girls, as mentioned. Yeah, come on over with Zach. And now Remy can play on this. It's so exciting. So we'd like you to say a few words if you want to. Remy can talk too. You can be like your mama.
So first off, thank you for the honor of being able to represent India in something that she was so passionate about. Irving, but more than that, all of Waterloo schools was a passion of hers. This is just one example of a project that she put her whole heart in and for. Our kids are long gone from Irving, but it was still something that she kept pushing for. And then lastly, we have this little one, who will prayerfully go up through the Waterloo school system as well. It's our neighborhood, and so she'll be another Irvingite, if I can say that. So, one, I just appreciate it, and thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we do have a plaque that we would like to present. Sure. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read what it says up here, and then I'll. To education. By word and deed, your presence has enriched the lives of students and served as an example for all. India Johnson, Waterloo Schools Board of Education, 2017 to 2023.
You got, okay.
Irving, and I think you guys should go down. Could go down. Let's do that.
Someone, Amy, get in there.
Amy Schmidt.
Yeah, Amy should get in there too.
Yeah, she's former Irving Heights.
Is that your thing?
And Irving Heights. Good to see you. Irving Heights. There's a lot going on here. Get her home and get her to bed.
Yeah. She needs to get to bed now, so that's why we moved her up for us all. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion unanimously carried, 7-0. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the board policy changes, and this is the second reading. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the following policies: equal employment opportunity affirmative action policy, non-resident students, testing program, stock prescription medication, and use of recording devices on school property.
So moved.
Second.
And we have Pam here. Again, this is the second reading, so we have seen this before. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, yay. We'll get through with this one quick. All in favor then of approving the second reading of these policies, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 7-0. Awesome, we did something quick. Okay. That's unusual for tonight. Okay, the next item is page 70, and that is our 22-23 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the District Finance Committee to receive and place on file the Waterloo Community School District 22-23 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
So moved.
Okay, and we have Dustin here from Bergen, correct, to let us know on the audit, and Jeff is also here, so go ahead. Thanks
Yes.
for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully you can all hear me. I pressed the button, but I don't know if it's projecting for me.
I
I'll give you a
think
little
it
lead
is.
time. So the annual audit's just a culmination of 12 months of the district properly recording transactions, processing transactions, and then waiting. We have Bergen KDV come in for our annual audit, and they send us a list of over 100 items they want to have prepared before the audit starts. Then they come and spend 2 weeks with us. Dustin, who's here tonight, is our lead auditor on that, and, sorry, I'm getting distracted. He's our lead auditor on that, and him and a team of people are here for 2 weeks, and then we get through the process, and they issue the audited financial statements. Again, this year we had a unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion we can receive. It says that the district fairly and accurately stated our financial position and our financial statements. And again, Dustin is here tonight to give us an overview of those financial statements.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. We're waiting for the projector to power on, I think. Oh,
It is on, I can't see it. Oh, there we go.
okay, perfect. Yeah, it's a little dim, but it looks like it's coming. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So I'm Dustin Opatz from Bergen KDV. I'm the audit manager on the audit, and this is the 2023 presentation. If at any point during the presentation you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. I have such a passion for school district finance that if nobody stops me, I will just blow through the whole thing. So yeah, feel free to interrupt me. Otherwise, we can catch your questions after the presentation as well. I'm good with either approach. So we start with it's a little off center, but hopefully you can see most of it. We start with the independent auditor's report. And so this is this is essentially what the district pays us for, to issue an opinion on the district's financial statements. So the district's financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. It's the best opinion we're allowed to give as your auditors. So essentially it's your job as management to oversee the preparation of the financial statements, and it's our job to come and test, examine, and audit the financial statements. There's a few other reports that we issue, the first one being the Government Auditing Standards Report. So because of the level of grant activity you receive, we're required to look a little bit closer at your compliance with laws, contracts, grant agreements, and related internal controls. So we did have one internal control finding. It is at a material weakness level, which is the highest level finding that we give, and it's related to a material audit adjustment. So kind of like I talked about, it's the district's responsibility to prepare everything for us to come and examine. And so during our test work, we did find one area that ended up being large enough where it ended up being material related to payables. And so we did have to correct that misstatement for the financial statements to be fairly presented. And so audit standards require us to just disclose that we did have that one adjustment that we required to make. The second bullet point under the first bullet point is related to statutory requirements. So the state auditor gives us a lot of checklists related to checking specific state statutes and related to compliance. And so there were two findings related to that test work. One was related to certified enrollment reporting. So of the 10,000 students that the district serves, you over-reported 2.5. And so no matter how large or small that number is, the state requires us to report it. I have other districts where we report 1/10 of a student, over or under. It's just part of the gig, right? So 2.5 students on your 10,000 student population, nothing that we would get too stressed about, but like I said, required reporting. And the second one is you did have a fund balance that is in deficit, and so we are required to report that too. It is not something that you were not expecting as a district. It was part of the district plan, and it's related to due to some of the timing of the spending versus the receiving of some of those saved funds. And so, but again, something we're required to report. The next report that I wanted to go over is the single audit report. So because you expend more than $750,000 of federal dollars, we're required to look a little bit closer at your compliance with some of those specific federal programs. And so we picked on the education cluster this year, the ESSER funds, and then your child nutrition. So those are two of your bigger programs, and they're required to be rotated through on a cycle. And we had no related findings specifically to those programs. So clean report there.
So there's no mandatory, schedule or protocol that you have to do certain programs at certain times? It's all just random what you guys choose, or is it governed by federal laws?
That's a fantastic question. So it's a very specific regimented protocol that we have to go through. So like your ESSER funds are deemed high risk by the federal government. So as long as that's over $750,000, they will get tested every single year until the program runs out. Other larger programs have to be tested at least on a 3-year cycle. And so we hadn't tested your child nutrition in 3 years, and so it was up. So if it's deemed high risk by the federal government, we have to test it. Otherwise, it goes on a cycle, and we have to test at least 40% of your total federal expenditures. So we usually end up picking some of the bigger ones to get us to that threshold.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic question. So next we'll start some of the analysis of the district year over year and on a 5-year trend. So we start with your foundation aid, your regular district cost per pupil, because that's one of the most important numbers for your district. And so in 2023, you received a 2.5% increase in that number per pupil, and in 2024, you can expect to receive a 3% increase. Next, we look at your enrollment. And so over the 5-year trend, enrollment has been fairly steady, decreasing about 100 students. Year over year from 2022 to 2023, that decrease was about 7 students. On the revenue side, total revenues did increase by about 0.7%, or just over $1 million. Your state revenue increased $3.1 million related to that cost of living adjustment that we talked about on the previous slide. Your federal revenues did decrease about $900,000 related to spending less of those COVID dollars. And then your local sources decreased $1.1 million related to a decrease in the property tax levy. And so I did want to point something out here because it's something that I'm sure you're very well aware of, but if you look at the very top line of that, that's your federal sources. So you can see 2019 and 2020, you were anywhere from $9 to $11 million of federal money in the general fund. And then when COVID started, you received a huge cash infusion of federal money, really jacking that amount up to anywhere between 23 to 29 million. And so most of those ESSER dollars are going away. Right, and so you do have this significant federal hole that that you just have to be aware of, and so I wanted to point that out as well. And I know Jeff is very well aware of that, but yeah, I wanted to point it out as well. On the expenditures side, total expenditures increased 4.6%, or just under $7 million. And so the categories are going to get kind of weird, so bear with me. And so that very first line is your regular instruction, and so that increase related to some pay increases, health insurance increases, the normal things you would expect. But part of it is also where the state made you code your indirect costs this year. So if you look, fourth line from the bottom, you had a pretty significant decrease in transportation costs. And so you almost have to net those two lines together because the state basically said, one year, hey, we would like you to code all your indirect costs to transportation, and then this year they're like, just kidding, we would like you to code it up here, right? So you're kind of at their mercy. So yeah, you almost have to net the two together, and so the resulting $2 million variance is related to increased wages, increased health insurance, that sort of thing. Special education expenditures increased by about $1.8 million related to increased salaries for paraprofessionals as well as the number of paraprofessionals the district had. And then, yeah, the transportation decreases related to what I talked about earlier.
Other instruction, that's down $900,000.
That one I do not know off the top of my head, but I can certainly find an answer for you.
Perfect, thank you.
This next slide looks at expenditure allocation by those different programs. And so the big three that we focus on are the orange, the gray, and the green. That's your regular, special, and vocational instruction. Those are your 3 major categories. And so that made up about 63% of your general fund expenditures for FY23. This slide is an overall 5-year snapshot of the general fund. So like we talked about earlier, revenues increased 0.7%, expenditures were up about 4.6%. And then overall, your fund balance did increase by about $240,000. So pretty much a break-even year for the year. Yeah, the unassigned balance, which is the biggest number that we focus on for district health, did have a slight decrease to about $91,000. So yeah, I'm looking at the second number from the bottom. So the number did decrease slightly year over year, but it is the second largest number in the 5 years presented. And when you're comparing 2019, 2020 to your 2023 fund balance, it's almost doubled. And as far as what that means is you have about 2.5 months of expenditures sitting in fund balance to act as a shock absorber for you.
But to be fair, you really have to net out, that's June 30th. You almost have to net out the July and August payrolls from that, right?
The July and August payrolls would be included in our numbers because the expenditures relate back to the FY23 fiscal year, so we include their expenditures.
So that's already accounted for and it's still 35 million?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. This next slide looks at the tax levy and the tax rate. So both of those numbers did decrease this year. And they're the lowest of the 5 years presented.
I think that's important. I just don't want to.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's important. Taxes has been a good I mean, that's been brought up a number of times this evening. I hope the community understands that not only are we not impacting taxes on this high school plan, but also if you look at the property tax rate over the last 5 years, this is the lowest it's been. And I think if we went beyond those 5 years, we would see a common trend. So something we want to make sure that is being shouted across the community is that the school's portion of the property tax rate is it's low as it's been for some time.
Yeah.
I think has stayed flat or lowered for 10 years. The
Yeah.
school's portion.
It's down 14, it's down 8.3% these last 5 years, but it's down 14% over the 10 years.
Yeah, great point. This slide looks at your school nutrition fund. So the reason I wanted to highlight this is typically a break-even fund. So if you look 2019 through 2021, sometimes it makes a little money, sometimes it loses a little money. Last year, there was a significant increase in the reimbursement rate from the federal government, as well as the district continuing to transfer over students to the CEP program and transferring schools over there. So all of your meals are being federally funded. And so last year was a significant increase, and then this year was a significant increase as well with some of those increased meals served.
Is that reflected back in somewhere else then, since this was federal dollars that were reimbursed for these meals?
Maybe I'm not, I was going to say.
It's a combination of that, and we also got some additional funding due to COVID
Okay.
for the lunch fund. So it's a combination of those two things.
Okay, thank you.
So this slide looks at the budget to actual results. So you did not amend your budget for this year. And so you're starting at the far left column, you initially had budgeted for a surplus of 2.6 million. And then at the end of the year, your governmental funds. So this slide is confusing in that it rolls together all of your funds, including all your capital as well. So if you had a capital project that you got farther than you anticipated, it's going to be reflected here as larger expenditures than you anticipated, right? Or if you, if you look at the other expenditures line, that's where your biggest variance is. It's the district's practice to budget for the entire capital project in the current fiscal year, even though you may not finish that entire capital project, right? So the expenditures are not always going to match, how far you actually got. And so starting with revenues, overall revenues were under budget by about 6.8%, and that's due to just anticipating higher revenues than actually occurred. On the expenditure side, the biggest portion that we talked about was that budgeting conservatively for some of those capital projects.
And the main reason we underspent, as I understand it, is the delay in the construction of Central Middle School. That was supposed to have been done 6 months earlier than it was.
That is a portion of it, but just as a general rule, we usually show the budget amounts conservatively a little higher. That allows us to not have to go back and amend our budget at a later time.
Yeah, that's a good point, because state statute says that you aren't allowed to exceed any of those budgeted amounts in category. It's not even in total. It's every single category has to be under budget. So it's been the district practice to budget conservatively so they don't have to come back for an amendment.
Right. Do then over.
Right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But that was my presentation. That was all I had. I'm here for any questions. This is how you would get a hold of me. We're definitely here's a resource for you. If you ever have any questions or anything that we can help you out with throughout the year, we're definitely, here's a resource for you.
And just working with district staff, we always ask this question: did everything go well? Did you get reports as expected?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Jeff and his crew take great care of us, and we're always very appreciative of their preparedness.
Perfect. We love our accounting department. So.
Yeah, I just want to I've given Jeff some public praise. I'm going to do it again. To go through a transition in leadership and going through an audit while running a budget of $160 million, and to only be dinged on two minor little things is remarkable. So kudos to you, kudos to your department. I just want to make sure that you guys you guys recognize, or you realize how much we appreciate the work that you do and keeping us in good financial position there. So thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate the comment, and again, I'll say it's a team effort, because we have a great department, and if everybody wasn't pitching in and doing their job, it wouldn't happen, so thank you, though, for
And
recognizing this.
we'd be remiss to mention Michael Coughlin tonight, too.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
he was a rock-steady person for a long time, so. Well, thank you so much for coming, we appreciate it. And all in favor then of accepting the comprehensive annual financial report for 2023, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0.
I would
Thank you.
just like to add one comment that the public might be interested in. When Dustin presented the audit to the Financial Committee, at the end of that, because everybody's there, Jeff's group and superintendent, everybody. And then there's, our tradition is, and I think it's best practice, is to clear the room, and it's just the board members and the independent auditor. Because we have we're voted in by the public, we have a fiduciary responsibility that we take seriously. So that's where, okay, what do you see as a weakness anywhere, especially with the transition and so forth? And it was very, very positive. But the board does separately, with the independent auditor, ask the hard questions, so.
Perfect. Thank you again. Safe travels. Okay, our next item on our agenda this evening is the annual treasurer's report, and the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the treasurer's report for June 30th, 2023.
Second.
And we have the infamous Jeff Sommerfeld here to tell us all about this report.
So each year prior to the installation of a new board member, the board treasurer presents a recap of the financial information for the outgoing or the current board members. It just so happens this year that we just got done presenting the audited financial statements tonight. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time repeating some information that you've already just heard from our auditors, but I included two schedules for you to look at. The first one is a balance sheet from our certified annual report. It lists all of the funds we have in the district, all 10 of the funds, and it's by fund. And I want to point out the general fund on line 1 is our cash balance at the end of the year. And our general fund had over $50 million in our general fund, which represents a higher balance than normal. Already been kind of addressed by the auditor, but this is primarily due to the additional federal ESSER funds that were received over the past few years that have built that balance up. And then on line 41, you'll see the total fund.
Do we have to spend that before the end of 2024, or can it stay in the general fund? I don't remember what the rules were with ESSER money.
We have already expended all of our ESSER funds.
Oh, gotcha,
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So line 41 is our fund balance, and that fund balance is the difference between our assets and which is what we own, and our liabilities is which we owe. So our fund balance in the general fund is about the same as last year. And again, that's something that was pointed out during the audit. The other schedule on here is the treasurer's report, and that report also shows all 10 of our funds and gives an overview of our revenue as compared to our expenses for each fund for the year. So it's a real handy little report that kind of shows you what's coming in and what's going out for each of our funds. The difference between the revenue and expenditures either increases or decreases our fund balance accordingly. Any other questions?
So if we have excess funds, we are putting them in some type of higher money market, correct?
Yeah, we work with our local bank, Farmer State Bank, which has really been a great partner for us, and we invest those funds, they provide the liquidity we need also.
Perfect. I just didn't want people to think it's just this large amount of money.
It's
sitting-
just not sitting in a 0.1% account, no.
I get
Absolutely not.
$1,000, I put it in a short-term CD, you know? Okay, any other questions for the treasurer's report? All right, good job, Jeff. All in favor then of approving the treasurer's report as presented, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 7-0. Our next item is abstract of votes from the school board election. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education take official notice of the abstract of votes from the school board election, which was held November 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
And we have Pam is our contact person for this, and she'll go over it for us.
Yep, so this is just verifying from the county auditor what the official canvass of votes was. So elected as District 2 Director is Jonathan Cox. Jonathan will be coming onto the board replacing Sue. It's really super sad to see Sue go. Super excited to welcome Jonathan to the board. So District 3 Director is Jesse Knight. And then our 2 at-large directors are Stacy Mills and Lyle Schmidt. So congratulations to all of them. And Sue, I'll let you call for the vote.
All right. Our last official vote call. All in favor of accepting the abstract, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0, and I am relieved.
Okay, hang on. So, yeah, you have to wait for a minute, you know that. Yeah, so this, we'll take a short recess here in a little bit, but just want to thank Sue. I didn't want to get emotional. Stop it. Okay, thank you so much for your service, for leading us, you've just been such a pleasure to work with. And we're going to miss you, but always know that you are welcome to come back any Monday night that we're having a board meeting. We'd love to see you again. And Sue, just appreciate your friendship as well. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And I just will say, it's 14 years, actually, 14 years, so long time. I've been coming here on Monday nights and other nights, but Monday nights. So have learned tons, enjoyed working with everybody. Had just 2 superintendents, really. Dr. Norris was there shortly, but Dr. Lindeman and Dr. Smith, and so it's been a nice transition, and Pam's been there for most of the whole time, and I see Miss Cora Turner back there. She's one of my old stalwarts, and but just has been a pleasure, and I will miss everyone here too. I mean, you guys become friends because we see you that often, so thank you.
We appreciate, not just the board meetings. I mean, there's a lot of work to be president, and even more work on the committees, and you've been on major committees pretty much the whole time. And so it is a super commitment. We appreciate it very much. Glad to have worked with you. It's been fantastic. You've been a great board chairman. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll miss your little parties. You better invite me, Karen.
Thank you, Sue.
Yeah, I've said this statement a couple of times already, but I'll say it again. I knew I would say it at this point. I was able to serve on the board with you for 4 years, I believe, and you were the vice president. And I personally feel like you became a better board member as president. That's just my personal opinion. I know I'd be remiss to not say the shoes that you felt and how we all felt about the previous board president. And I think you seamlessly moved into that position, and you represented us well. So we're very appreciative of all your hard work, all your dedication, and everything you put into the district, and leading us for the last 2 years. So thank you.
Go first, one else.
I've had more fun in the times where we were like at the convention and stuff. Those times when you're not in your board mode. Yes. You, you are fun, and it's funny because you're so professional when we're here. So I really enjoyed that, and I appreciate and I will treasure that I've had that time. Thank you, Sue.
Yeah, been great. Great 8-year run with you. You know, we've covered a lot of ground. We appreciate your insight on the financial side, also being just willing to call and have a conversation on something. And miss having you here, but I'm sure I will see you around. Seems like we bump every once in a while when we're walking or something. So, but enjoy your Monday nights off and make sure your time's served.
We haven't had the opportunity to meet a lot, but I want to thank you for your 14 years of service for the district, and I feel like I missed out. So maybe we'll have to get to know each other outside of this.
How was the social? I'll be there.
All right.
Yeah, Karen has the social.
So, Sue, just thanks for everything you've done for the 14 years. Obviously, I've just known you for the last couple. First, learned a lot from you. Lyle, I think you said it. It's so hard to imagine how much time you put in to this. I don't think anybody has any clue in terms of the hours, in terms of there's the hours of being in meetings, there's the time that's spent fielding questions, and there's the emotional baggage at times that must be taken, that takes a toll of trying to weigh what's best for the community, what's best for kids, and also having to hear it. So just appreciate all that you've done. Thank you personally for taking a chance on me when you hired me. I know I was probably the one with maybe the least experience, the youngest, but I appreciate you seeing the potential in me and for guiding me and coaching me over this last year and a half. I've made some mistakes, I've done some good things, and I feel like you're always there to support no matter what. So I really appreciate that, and we'll continue to probably rely on you for some advice moving forward. So appreciate it very much. We have a plaque for you. You've probably seen these before.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah. So here's what it says. Oh, I'm going to break it just like Stacy here. To honor your service to education, by word and deed, your presence has enriched the lives of students and served as an example for all. Sue Flynn, Waterloo Schools Board of Education, 2009 to 2023.
Thank you. Yes. I got to sit.
Want to do pictures here too, right?
Cupcakes, flowers. I can enjoy about 6 cupcakes in my football game. I don't, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, let's go down and take a picture.
If you're more comfortable over there too, that's fine. It's up to you. It's up to you. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Okay. Okay. All right. So now that we have everybody seated, I will run the meeting until we elect a new president. So the first order of business is, it's item number, let me look back here on my agenda. Sorry. Yes, item number 16, sorry about that. Installation of new directors. So it is the time that we will administer the oath of office to our newly elected. So if I could just have, you guys can just stand at your seats, that would be great. If I can have Lyle, Jesse, Jonathan, and Stacy, yes. Okay. So the oath of office, you guys would just raise your hands, please. Hopefully this will reach back there. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Director in the Waterloo Community School District as now or hereafter required by law?
I will.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the board. Okay, very good. Okay, so then the next order of business is the election of officers. So we will elect a president and a vice president. This is an annual action by the board. The president and the vice president will serve for 1 year, and then it will come back in subsequent, it will be November of the following year. For nominations, we do not need a second. We just need somebody to nominate. We'll close the nomination, and then we will vote on that nomination. So, I'm sorry. Did I skip one? We did, sorry. Let's go back a little bit to our celebration. We do have another celebration of our board. So Stacy Mills at the IASB conference was recognized for her service and for her educational things that she has done, and it's a Better Boardsmanship Award, correct? Was that the official title? Or was the official
Individual Achievement Award.
Individual Achievement Award. Okay. Jared, did you want to say?
Yeah, so I just got done mentioning how many hours this and again, it is such a thankless job, right? Being on the school board. I mean, there's intrinsic, value and motivation, absolutely. But, Stacy has that's one thing I've noticed with you, has absolutely gone above and beyond just this past year. Even in the last 6 to 8 months, I feel like you're just hungry to learn, hungry to, to know how you ask great questions, always just wondering how you can make an impact within the board and with the school district. So when I heard that you'd earned that honor, I was not surprised at all. I've gone to the school board convention before. I've seen people go up and get these awards, and I'm like, gosh, I wonder how they do that. One of those things. So wasn't able to attend this time, but just really proud of you, and I think you're a model of consistency and lifelong learning for the group. So we really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you. My husband left my certificate at the hotel, but they're going to issue me a new one, so.
So sorry, Stacy, I didn't mean to overlook that. I was kind of like, ready to move on, but yeah, thank you, and congratulations. That's very awesome. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the election of officers. So the first will be the election of president, and I will open up for nominations for president of the board.
I nominate Astor Williams.
I nominate Stacy Mills.
Okay, sorry, it's going to take me a minute to write down. Okay. So I need a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Second.
And all those in favor of closing nominations for the board, for the president?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so all those, this will be a roll call vote. So those in favor of Astor Williams as president? Stacy Mills?
No.
Jesse?
No.
Yes.
Crystal? Jonathan?
Yes.
Astor Williams? Yes, you do.
Yes.
Janelle Ewing?
Yes.
Lyle Schmidt?
Yes.
And all those in favor of Stacy Mills? Stacy?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
No.
Thank you. Jonathan?
No.
Astor?
No.
Janelle?
No.
And Lyle?
No.
Okay, thank you. And so we have Astor Williams elected as president of the board with a vote of 5-2. Congratulations. Yeah. Okay, so I will open nominations for the vice president of the board.
I nominate Lyle Schmidt.
And I'm going to do what Robert's rule says I can. I'm going to nominate myself.
Okay. Okay, so I need, any others? Okay. I need a motion to close the nominations,
So moved.
Second?
and all those in favor?
Aye.
So we have two, we have Lyle Schmidt and Stacy have been nominated. We will start again with Lyle Schmidt. Those in favor of Lyle, this will be a roll call vote, please. Stacy?
No.
Jesse?
Yes.
Yes.
Crystal, thank you. Jonathan?
Yes.
Astor?
Yes.
Janelle?
Yes.
And Lyle?
Yes.
And those in favor of Stacy, we would have Stacy?
Sure.
That's a roll call. And Jesse?
No.
No.
Jonathan?
No.
Astor?
No.
Janelle?
No.
And Lyle?
No.
Thank you. So Lyle has been elected as vice president of the board with a vote of 6-1. So if you two would please stand, raise your right hands, and the oath of office for you. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the offices of President and Vice President of the Board of Education in the Waterloo Community School District, as now or hereafter required by law? Congratulations. And now we're gonna get some seats. Okay. You wanted this.
I'll take Lyle, the furthest one away.
Yep. And then, Crystal, why don't we have, we're gonna have Lyle come over and sit here for now. We'll change these around, but Astor will take this seat, and Lyle, if you wanna sit over here.
Tell me how to change seats.
Yeah.
There you go. Very well. I'll just leave for a year or two. Over.
Can't sit much longer, my tail is screaming. Congratulations, wow. I'm excited.
Okay, so
See
now
you in that position.
it will come over to you now.
Don't take Krista's cupcake. We'll switch around. I'm always, I'm on Jesse's.
After this.
You can't hear me on this side, so I'm always just like on my own over here. I got Jen.
So we're gonna go to page 104 on this. I'm not sure if this is probably not gonna work,
that
so if you
little
wanna
bit of
look on
power
mine,
fund
you
there,
can look
Pam?
on mine. Okay, so now we will go to the reorganization of the board, and this is where, Astor, you will get to assume the duties of president and run the meeting from here.
All right, thank you for your patience. Yes. So 18. So item 18, reorganization of the board. So the superintendent, the recommended motion is that the president of the Board of Education of Waterloo Community School District, Astor Williams, be authorized to sign all warrants, contracts, and all other documents that require his signature, and the vice president of the Board of Education of the Waterloo Community School District, Lyle Schmidt, be authorized to sign all warrants, contracts, and all other documents that require his signature in the absence of the president, and the signature plate of Sue Flynn, immediate past president of the Board of Education, be authorized to continue as a valid check signature until a plate for the new president can be obtained, and the superintendent be authorized to invest school district monies prior to allocating these funds toward payment of expenditures in accordance with Board Policy 701-8, and the Board of Education reaffirms all policies and actions of proceeding boards.
So moved.
Second?
Sorry.
Any discussion? Is this a roll call vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, chair votes aye, motion carried 7-0. Item 20. I better leave that on. Item 20, appointment of board member to the Black Hawk County Conference Board. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the appointment of Stacy Mills to the Black Hawk County Conference Board.
So moved.
Second?
Got it? All those in favor?
Discussion.
Or discussion? Is there any discussion?
I love doing it. Let's put me there again.
Thanks serving on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ooh, this is loud.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Turn it down.
Now we're on to item 21, purchase of district maintenance vehicles. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 3 trucks for the maintenance department at a total cost of $136,166.35 as outlined.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Now for discussion. And we have Zach coming to the mic now. He can give us a little bit more information about this.
Yeah, so this is replacing 3 vehicles that we have currently. One of them will be replacing a HVAC vehicle. One of our HVAC techs will be driving this, and then the second will be our utility grounds person. And the third will be a box truck, which does all of our deliveries during the day, and also as well as our transfer of food service items. This was a new process that I used. It was currently the state of Iowa. They'll reach out to all dealerships in the state of Iowa for lowest bid pricing. So this pretty much takes care of us having to reach out to multiple dealers to get multiple prices. This already sets the lowest price. And this is what a lot of people use. The city of Waterloo uses this as well, this process. But currently, Carl Chevrolet was one of the bidders, and along with Stivers dealership. This would fill this budget for these vehicles for this fiscal year. So I wouldn't purchase any new vehicles until the following July 1st out of the PEPAL budget.
So what's the size of your fleet, and what's the relative condition of the rest of it? In other words, when would you expect to make another purchase?
I would make another purchase probably fall of 2024. A lot of our vehicles are slowly getting updated, but some of them are in tough shape where a lot of the engines are still in good shape, but it's more the bodies. You know, just the winter times is hard on the vehicles. But average life expectancy of the vehicles that we're doing is about 10 to 15 years roughly.
Were these the old ones, were they bought new? Because they did last a long time if they were new.
They were, yep, they were purchased new.
Okay.
And some of them, like the 2005, that has a plow on it, so we use that for plowing,
Okay.
along with the, sorry, take that back. Yeah, that one we plow, but the other one that I have in here, the truck, that was not plowed with, so.
Are you going to sell them, or?
Those will probably turn into plowing vehicles for spares.
Got
And
ya.
then the old spares, I will probably just reach out to these dealers to see what, they wouldn't do a trade-in price just because the ordering process takes up to a year. So the condition of these vehicles a year, when we get the new ones, it's hard to give you a number, but they weren't in the best of condition, so I don't expect a whole lot for them.
So these dealers are a long ways away, so do you maintain these completely internally?
Correct, we do. On the outskirts of, if it's something that we can't do ourselves, we'll have a local mechanic shop that we deal with, take care of that. But yeah, we do maintenance them ourselves.
Are they under warranty, though, for any period of time?
The new vehicles?
Yeah.
They'll be a 100,000 mile, 10-year warranty.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
How's availability now? I know it's been an issue in the past.
Sorry, what was that?
Availability, has still been an issue?
The availability?
Yeah.
Yeah, these 3 ones for the title, some of them will say open allocated, so they'll only allow a certain quantity, but these 3 don't have that, they're just open. So I don't see an issue with getting them, it's just a matter of the time frame of getting them.
You happen to have done a cost comparison, I mean, like a list, do you know how much they're saving due to the state? Have any idea?
Yeah, so like the F-250 compared to the Chevy 2500, the Chevy 2500 was actually $3,000 less than the Ford F-250, so there was some savings going with the Chevy 2500. And we have the Chevys and Ford both in our fleet currently.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions for Zach? All those in favor of approving the recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Zach.
Thanks.
And now that brings us to our last item, our superintendent's report.
Okay.
Dr. Smith?
Yeah, thank you, Esther. Thanks, President. We're 3 hours in, so I'm not going to keep you super long here. But I got 2 really exciting updates for you, which I've already shared with you, but I'm excited for the community to hear this. We have 3 big goals as a school district right now: attendance, achievement, and climate. Those 3 areas. We've gotten some scores back for both climate and attendance, and I'm excited to share those with you. Our climate last year, according to our survey, which we give to all staff, gave us a 78.2% employee satisfaction score. That was last year. We've grown over 5% this year, and we're at 83.8% employee satisfaction. That is the highest number we've seen since pre-COVID. So, and of course, we know that COVID has changed a lot of things. It's made life much more difficult at times, so we are very happy with that score. Absenteeism, we got some early numbers back. Last year, Lyle, you did a great job of bringing that up earlier. Last year, we were at 51% chronic absenteeism.
How much?
51%. Well, different ways of looking at it. According to the data that we turn into the state, that was the number we looked at. Now, again, we could probably sit here and talk for half an hour on absenteeism.
That was chronic.
Chronic absenteeism.
Number of students who miss more than 10% a year.
According to the numbers we turn in the state, again, there's a couple that, if we had Sheena here, she could explain that. I'm just going to keep it consistent. It's early. I want to stress it's early, so do not under promise, over deliver, right? So I don't want you guys to but right now we're sitting at 28%, a 23% drop. It's early. We haven't hit cold and flu season. Things can happen. But right now, we're very proud of the progress we're making with all the attendance initiatives. Don't forget employee town hall meeting tomorrow. Last week, we had a large number show up, probably about 40 to 50 employees. Tomorrow, we have another one from 4 to 5. Last but not least, it's that time of year. School board, I really appreciate all that you do. It's not much, but I want to make sure I give all of you, even those of you who've been on the board for 20 minutes, and you just lucked out, man. You came at the right time, but thank you for all that you guys do. I really appreciate it. It's not much, but I want to show a token of my appreciation for all that you guys do. So I will pass these around. Janelle. The other 4 should be going that way. So thank you guys for all that you do. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Can we open it now? Do we have to wait?
Yeah. We might mix it up a little bit. Let's start with Director Knight.
Thank you. Congratulations on being elected board president, Esther. One of my favorite times of the year, so I get to say it first. This is the week of the Battle of Waterloo wrestling tournament. I've been involved with it some level since it first started. I was volunteering, usually at a table or something. Had my 4th child participating in it at some level, so 3 wrestlers, and wrestling cheerleaders. So, and anybody doesn't know, we added an additional day. So this year we added a Thursday that will have a girls division Thursday. So like division has grown, and we'll have only girls on Thursday, and then boys division Friday and Saturday. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend and want to see a nice ice arena covered with wrestling mats, come on down and hang out with probably me and Pam and a few others. So
I'm doing Thursday.
Well, you're gonna be with me too then, okay.
We'll go to my right to Director Ewing. Yep.
Again, thank you to all of the teachers and sponsors of activities, because activities in the WCC are really the things that keep kids coming to school and helping with our absenteeism issue that we're working on. I firmly believe that teachers are the engine that drives this, so thank you, teachers, for everything that you do, and enjoy your break when it comes.
Thank you. Director Mills.
Hold on.
I should have looked over there first.
Okay. So, we had an equity committee meeting last Monday, and Jared came, and we were able to really focus on the high school proposal and what that looks like for equity. I think it went really well, and there was one quote, and I can't remember her name. It was, I'll figure out because I want to give her the props for it, but she said, we, meaning the adults, need to get out of the way of our kids, and I love that, and I've heard other people using it now too, so that was really cool. The committee really is coming a long way. We have action committees within it, so I feel like the equity committee is not just looking at theory, there's action. Also, we went to the IASB convention last month, which seems like it was a million years ago, but we haven't had a board meeting since then. And so I went Wednesday through Friday, and my favorite session was the last one that Jonathan and I did with Bill De La Cruz. I have his book, Finding the Origin Point, and I really would like to share some of that stuff with the rest of the board. I kept all the paperwork from the session as well. He talked a lot about conflict resolution, communication skills, and he's actually that was the impetus for me deciding to throw my name in today, because it was, why not? Why not me? So I feel like those kinds of opportunities for board members really allow us to grow. So I want to thank the district for making those opportunities available. And I want to say hi to my daughter, who's performing right now at the West High Band concert. So,
Nice.
so thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Director Mills.
Oh, wait, and congratulations to you too. I'm really excited for this year.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll go to my right, Director Matlock.
Welcome to Jonathan for the board. I was sworn in before you. And welcome back to Lyle, Stacy, and Jesse. And Janelle, it was really nice meeting you. So nice meeting you tonight. And congratulations to Esther and to Lyle for president and vice president. As Stacy mentioned, the last time where I was sitting in this area up here, we did go to the conference in Des Moines. Yeah. And I had the opportunity of doing the onboarding for new board members, and then I went to the Finance 101, and I was terrified, but I made it through. But then we had keynote speakers. I was able to go to the Urban Education Network, which is the 7 largest school districts in our state. And one of the sessions I went to was on mental health. I work at Wartburg College, and mental health is definitely something that we need to be thinking about. So I just wanted to let everyone know I'm looking forward to working and growing and learning from all of you. And happy holidays if I don't see you guys again, to you and your families.
Thank you. Director Cox. Got a nice ring to it, too.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? You know, since I've been on here for, 31 minutes now. Yes. I definitely want to congratulate Lyle and Astor, being vice president and president. I'm looking forward to each member here to find the solutions. We have, I think the school boards always have had a hard, it's tireless. You're not going to get the credit. But one thing that I will say that we can do is make sure this community is on the right track. And I think that I think this is going to be a good blend. I'm excited. I would like to thank all the, talking about attendance. I see those individuals working every day trying to make sure kids are showing up. I'm here to tell you, they have a passion. And I really do think that somehow we need to kind of sprinkle some that, what do you call that? Sprinkle dust down of pixie dust, yes, down of making sure each level teachers, because they are working hard and they're dedicated. And lastly, I just want to thank my family for just enduring this marathon. And we got to get a picture because there are three of them, and they are part of this Waterloo School District. So I just want to thank them. My sister, Sylvia, 30-plus year, teacher from the Chicago Public School System, retired, for coming in town.
Do you want a sub?
For coming in town, but thank you for the people in the district. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cox. Director Schmidt?
I'm going to first thank my family for being here and enduring. And welcome, Jonathan. Congratulations, Astor. Thank you for everyone for your support. Thanks for all the public for coming here tonight. I thought it was great. And this public input is ultimately going to help us decide whether or not to proceed. And if we do proceed, it's going to help us mold this one-of-a-kind traditional career high school combination into the school that provides the absolute best opportunity for success, for graduation and life success, basically what the mission statement up there on the board, why we're all here. So I'm looking very much forward to further input and further development by Envision to start answering some of the unanswered questions so we can provide a very candid, truthful, complete picture before we take the next step. As I said, it's an iterative process. Thank you.
Let me sit up straight a little bit. I'm still trying to soak all this in, but first, to my fellow board members, I want to thank you for entrusting in me to lead this group. Whether you're new or you've been here for some seasons, I really don't take it for granted. The confidence that you're showing in me that I can lead this group into this journey that we're going to go into. So thank you for allowing me to lead you during this time. Thanks to the public for showing up, letting your voices be heard. Please don't stop. We like it better when there's people in the gallery and state how they feel and what they want to see in our district. It keeps us mindful of that we're not just doing it for ourselves, but for the people of the community. So send the emails, show up in person. I'll get the town hall meeting dates here before I end, but make sure you're letting your voice be heard, and not just for this big thing that's happening, but for everything that the district entails. Congratulations is in order. Director Mills, Director Knight, Director Schmidt, our new board member, Director Cox, and also Director Matlock. I wasn't here to congratulate you on your last meeting, so welcome. We're excited for the journey, but I'm confident that we'll do what's right and what's best for our students and staff and faculty and community as well. Just a reminder that we do have some town hall meetings coming up. Saturday, January 20th, 9 a.m., Kitcher Elementary School. Thursday, January 25th, 5 p.m., Waterloo Career Center. Saturday, January 27th, 9 a.m., Pointer Elementary School. Thursday, February 1st, 5 p.m., Cunningham School for Excellence. And on tomorrow, we have December 12th, here in this room for employees, another one as well. Our next board meeting will be on Monday, January 8th at 5 p.m. I think that may be it that I have. Does anybody have anything else? All right, at 8:20 p.m. Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye.
It'll be loud now.
Motion carried. Good night.
Picture. Maybe you gotta do a picture with Jonathan and family. Jonathan family.